All right, we'll get started in a moment here. For some context, today we'll be streaming the MIT Newbie tournament, and we'll also be streaming the high school qualifiers. Both teams will have their final game run at our final tournament, and we'll be playing up to determine our 2 finalists today. For the high schoolers, we will fly you the top 2 teams out. They do need a parent chaperone, but we will fly you out to the final tournament and the finalist dinner. MIT teams have access to the finalist dinner since they live at MIT. For prize money, the top 4 teams, I believe, of each bracket will receive prize money. You can find the details on the bracket. Yep, the prize money amounts are coming. Yep, so high school 3rd and 4th will get $200 and $300. And same with newbies. For some context, today we'll have 2 tournaments to stream, so we'll be running a bit faster on the matches. We'll also be starting a bit later in the bracket. So we'll be starting from the losers round 2 of the newbie tournament, and we'll be starting from the winners round 4 of the high school tournament. So if you're curious how the matches before that, I believe the challenge should be updated with the results now. Without further ado, let's get started. Our first match today from the high school, from the newbie tournament will be team versus Aristus. We'll be going through the newbie tournament and the high school one, starting on Crown Jewels. This map seems to me like whoever gets the mana wells first will have a very defining advantage. Aristus is the one who uses the amplifiers, which proves to maybe be a bad decision at the start. Launchers rushing in and attacking, but not doing so much damage. But now a few launchers taking out all of these carriers. No launchers from team really defending their base, but now a new wave of launchers has spawned. Maybe they'll be able to hold a defense, but no, it looks like the blue launchers taking advantage. But an attack from team over the top, there's still launchers hanging around, so they are still in the game. But for now, Aristus seems like their carriers have found some mana wells. The teams are very close in resources, but Aristus has way more mana launchers all clumped together at the bottom. So team really needs to look to push a resource advantage. They're really the ones extracting from these wells so far. Aristus, on the other hand, is sort of flanking and holding the bottom side of this headquarters. So any robots trying to proceed there are immediately destroyed. It looks like Aristus will probably take this game, although they haven't captured any islands, and team did grab an island very early on. So entering tiebreak, it will be team who wins the game, both with more mana and also for capturing an island. So Aristus certainly winning the combat, but not winning the island war. Now onto Looking Glass, a very big map. And I believe this map is supposed to be a mirror of the 2 sides. Both teams sort of fighting over control of the center. Once again, team capturing an early island. We saw this last game too. We'll see how this performs, where it's a bit easier to defend. They have 2 islands captured, but Aristus has 30 launchers all clumped together, while team's launchers are sort of dispersed in the bottom of the map. Some of them getting caught in the bottom right of the map. So really the 2 teams pretty equal in resources, but it looks like the game will come down to who can really utilize their launchers a bit better. For now in the middle, Aristus is holding a defense, and this time they are capturing islands. They have 4 islands captured, but so does team. If neither team can really breach the middle, it looks like it might go to a tiebreak, but now team is pushing into the middle, and Aristus's launchers have been mainly scattered. 29, 34 launchers remaining to the 90 of team. Team's mana is just overwhelming compared to Aristus's, and Aristus has no way of really defending with the fewer launchers from the lost skirmish in the middle. But team not really approaching, and it looks like it will be to a tiebreak, and team with more mana is going to win that tiebreak, taking it 2-0. So far, we've seen back and forth a lot between these 2 teams. Actually, a bunch of amplifiers from Aristus in the middle. Certainly not going to provide offensive power, but now really scouting out the map might be useful. Lots of their launchers grouped at the top, holding a defense. Perhaps this will be beneficial, or perhaps this means they lose control of the middle. We'll have to see how this goes. But for now they're pushing in with a group of launchers off the top. Meanwhile, team has a group of launchers off the bottom, but no defense to be seen. They're just wandering in the middle there. Now Aristus with a more coordinated group of launchers is winning the combat once again. We see Aristus with a stronger combat in both maps 1 to 3, and also a pretty strong start in map 2. Really what these past games have come down to is really who captures more islands and controls them a bit better. For now, it looks like Aristus is going to be the one controlling the islands better. They have a group of launchers and they have a group of islands captured. Now it's just up to whether they can defend these islands from team taking them back. Team launching an attack through the middle, hoping to take back these islands, but these islands slowly being captured one by one, and the healing they provide is immense. Team needs to pierce into this wave of launchers, but they have no method, and Aristus would take the second game off 75% of the islands. Third game, sorry. And now to Spiderweb. This is actually an incredibly large map and very diabolical with the current placements. I wonder which dev created this map. They certainly had a bit too much fun dividing these islands, but for now, fighting over the middle, lots of these currents may be going to be disruptive to both teams' strategies. Some carriers getting caught, but now Aristus capturing the islands and starting to make their way around the web. Perhaps they'll be able to win off 75%, but for now, team has quite the formidable fighting force. Both teams have a pretty equal amount of mana and launchers. It's really up to, once again, whoever can win the economy war and whoever can maneuver these launchers better. But now team is the one capturing more islands and approaching into Aristus's territory. If team can maybe approach around the clock a little and get a few more islands, they will just close out the match. But Aristus is holding a strong defense, and team's carriers are not able to approach those islands to remove the anchors. But now one anchor is removed. Aristus needs to defend these islands, but it's looking futile. And on a 2,000 round tiebreak, team will take the set 3-1. And a final score of 3-2, so a very close set. If Aristus may be grabbing onto an island or two in the first map, they would have taken the set. But a close set, and now onto S versus Wisdomless. S, a team that we've seen in a few past sprint tournaments. We'll see how they do. I believe they also struggled finding islands in the previous time. So we'll see if this makes a difference. For now, it seems like Wisdomless is not struggling with finding these islands, holding a defense, maybe some of those carriers getting stuck on each other, but the same thing happening to S in the bottom. Both teams really fighting with carriers instead of launchers. The launchers all grouped around the home base island, while the carriers are slowly being pushed into the enemy team. But now S is the one with a group of launchers approaching the middle. I think some of those launchers bug nabbing their way into each other, but perhaps they'll be able to approach, but they need islands. Wisdomless has 2 islands and S has 0. And we've seen S lose several games in past tournaments due to failed island captures. They've removed 1 island. If they can just win by just pushing these islands down and maybe grabbing 1 for themselves, they will just take the set, or pushing around 2,000. And they have no islands, even though they have most of the map control. Wisdomless will take the first game. Now into Looking Glass. Lots of islands once again near your base and a very strong way to defend. It's really going to be up to S to push into the enemy team so much that they can capture all these islands. But oh no, it looks like those launchers may be stuck. What's going on in the bottom right table? Stuck under the table and not able to find their way out. They were, although they have so many launchers that it might not matter, and both teams are stuck a little, slowly piling onto each other. Maybe the top launchers will just fall down and fall off the pile and reach the enemies, and it certainly seems so. S has so much more mana and so much more launchers. I'm really curious what happened. It seems like Wisdomless really struggling to find these mana wells, but they do need islands, and S has so many robots that really it's hard to get any islands. And 2 islands captured from Wisdomless, it looks like it'll just be an island tiebreaker again. S really struggling to find these islands, even though they really do dominate the combat. And it will be a victory from Wisdomless, it seems. A few of S's carriers trying to get rid of that island, but just 3 launchers sitting on top of it and not budging. Will not let the island to be recaptured. And it's now 0-2. Moonfaces has a lot of islands, so maybe this will make it harder for S, who struggles to capture islands, or maybe it'll make it easier for them to find islands. I guess we'll have to see. For now, once again, we see them dominating the combat. S really strong with their launcher micro. So maybe if that group of launchers in the middle of the map and at the top and bottom start moving out and giving some room for carriers to grab anchors, they have a chance. For now, no islands captured and Wisdomless just stuck in their headquarter. S will have more mana, but Wisdomless did capture an island early on. We'll see how this goes. Lots of launchers flooding, and Wisdomless wins because they captured an island in the first 20 turns, and S controlling the map, but really struggling to control the islands. Both teams pretty strong, but it seems like for now, we'll be moving on to drop table teams versus Head. Not sure what HEAD stands for, but both teams really loving the caps. For now, Head is the one to just immediately rush in. It seems to me like drop table teams spawn like 3 or 4 amplifiers instead of launchers at the start, which really hurt them in that early combat. An early attack by Head will lead to most likely an early victory. Lots of amplifiers just vibing in the top side of the map. We'll see if those become useful, but for now, it looks like Head is just going to surround this map. And drop table seems good because they captured 1 island at the start and Head never managed to find any of these islands. Yeah, we've seen island tiebreaks really come into play in our MIT Newbie tournament. So we'll see if this continues. You see drop tables teams strategy is seemingly to just grab islands very early on and build a few amplifiers. Head investing a bit more in their launchers will just win out very consistently once again with their launcher micro. But those islands, you know, is within 9 radius squared of the headquarter, and none of Head's launchers really want to approach. So the islands will not be removed, but this time Head does capture islands. So they have 4 islands captured compared to the 4 from drop table teams. If they can maybe remove one, they'll guarantee their win for sure. Alternatively, they can look for perhaps a mana tie break, but it seems like they won't be removing any islands with how many robots they have flooding. Actually, they've removed some islands all of a sudden. So it looks like it will be Head's decisive victory, failing to capture the islands in map 1, but in map 2, learning from their mistake. Well, I say learning from their mistakes, so it's the same bot, but learning from their mistakes and capturing the islands. Moon phases, the islands once again are quite easy to get to. So I'm curious to see if Head will actually manage to grab onto these. Once again, drop table teams spawning lots of carriers with anchors at the start. You saw one sort of running into the bottom cloud and colliding head on with Head's launchers. That looks like Head is just going to look like they want to take over the map. Drop table teams captured 1 island very early on. So I am a little worried for Head here. Head struggling to find these islands, but now capturing 1, it looks like it will be Head's victory in map 3. And then maybe they might even win off 75% here. Just 1 more island to go. And it looks like they have too many robots to navigate to these islands. But regardless, a victory for Head. And we'll be moving on to game 4. And onto Spiderweb. Lots of islands once again. Maybe the currents, however, might mess around with these robots if they're not careful. For now, drop table teams captures 2 islands, but they're quickly removed by Head. And Head, once again, just invests in way more launchers than drop table teams does. Drop table teams perhaps spending a bit too much effort and too much attention on early islands, missing out a lot on fighting between the early 2 skirmishes. And now it looks like Head has found these islands. The currents, not enough to deter them. Drop table seems still a few robots lurking around the bottom side and managing to grab a few islands. But for now, their headquarter looks quite surrounded on the top side. They still do have a bottom headquarter, and Head wins off a 75% win condition with a cluster of launchers in the middle. Head will be advancing in our newbie bracket. Now we have Island versus Faust. We'll see if Island manages to capture any islands. Faust proceeding through the bottom side of the map, exploring through the lower circles here. Meanwhile, Island not capturing any islands quite yet, but holding a strong defense on the top. And now they finally got 1 island. It's a little too far for their launchers to heal, but they do have enough launchers that might not make a difference. Faust seems to really not identify where this mana well is. Looks like their carriers latched onto this adamantium well quite early and didn't really approach further to look for mana wells. And this is sort of a vital mistake here. Island, even though they found that earlier adamantium well, not satisfied with it and looking for more mana wells, is going to be the decisive factor in who wins here, as it seems like Island Although it might go down to a tiebreak since it seems like both teams only going to have one island. Island going to win off the mana tiebreak, I believe, and that will be the case. Boss struggling to find that early mana well, even though they launched an early attack. We'll see how that goes this game, where the mana wells are a bit more accessible. This time, both teams are indeed finding the mana wells. So we'll see how that goes. For now, Faust has a huge force of launchers and just descending upon that top force of launchers from Island, destroying all of them. But Island has a backup force here in the bottom, and it's healed by an Island. We'll see if Faust can really challenge this, but sending launchers into their demise one by one and sending carriers with anchors just running into the enemy, not going to be an effective strategy. Faust losing so many launchers just over that wall and rushing into their doom. But Island now with the more launchers needs to launch an attack here. Both teams with 4 islands so far. It looks like it might come down to a tiebreak. It depends on if Island will approach out of this middle and look to attack the other side of the looking glass. But for now, it looks like it will be a tiebreak. Island with the mana victory will probably take the tiebreak, but I didn't quite count how many islands were taken. It looks like it will be Faust capturing one more island throughout the match, I would assume. Or, oh, Faust capturing the skinny island, while Island completely missing it. How unfortunate for Island. And now we've seen some pretty back and forth combat between these two teams. It seems like Faust controlling the middle here might get an early advantage, but we have seen comebacks combat-wise from Island. They do lose control of that bottom headquarter, and now they're top. Faust this time in the top on the combat and in the top on the island, capturing in a swift 464 round of victory, going to take the lead in the set 1-2. Now onto Spiderweb. So many islands here. I'm really curious. But Faust seems to perform exceptionally well in combat in the middle, perhaps remnants of our lecture player from Ian. Ian laughing a little bit in the audience. But yeah, whenever they can really grab control of the center, it seems like Faust really benefits in the combat. Island certainly grouping their launchers quite well, but not defending the islands. And Faust will take the set 3-1. In a close set 3-2, a few tiebreaks going awry on both teams will lead to Faust's victory. And a pretty close set overall, but once again, coming down to who can control these islands and who can control the early combat so well. Now onto our, I believe, our winners bracket round 3. Teams here haven't taken a loss yet, so we'll see who can continue to advance in this tournament and who will fall into the losers bracket, starting off with a bunch of letters and a bunch of numbers. 21G111 versus CM25K. Who made this map? I need to talk to them. For now, build site, actually it's not so bad. We have a volunteer in the audience of a dev. For now, it looks like 21G111 is ahead on the resources and ahead on the launchers as a result. CM25K does have more launchers actually and an equal amount of mana, but lots of those launchers just staying near their base and not really advancing. This is going to give away vital mana wells in the middle to 21G111. Look at that resource gain gap gain graph in the bottom left. So many more resources going to the side of 21G111, but they're not able to breach the defenses of that top right headquarter, just a narrow hallway just being their demise. They're now streaming in launchers, but that island is captured and healing the launchers for so much. For now, they're also not breaching the bottom right. Now they are red robots streaming in. They have control of the map. They have control of one island, but I don't think they've captured enough island to secure the tiebreak for themselves. CM25K has captured a few islands over the course of this map, retaking and recapturing, but now 21G111 in the last few turns amps up the anchors and now going to grab onto a few more islands. 5 islands captured. Just one more will be a 75% victory, but the tiebreak will also go to them. 21G111 with an early skirmish going pretty evenly, but eventually taking control of the center and playing the map a bit better. Now we see a bit of a wandering elephants on both sides. I'm sure both teams have seen that plenty in their Gradle projects, but now 21G111 is the one with better launcher maneuvering, outmaneuvering CM25K, even when the launchers were roughly equal. CM25K launchers at their base, but just too scattered amongst these elephants to really fight back effectively. while 21G111 in such coordinated attacks really dismantled that defense so effectively in the early rounds. Now to Fish Cake. I feel like whoever made this was pretty hungry. But now 21G111 being the one with less coordinated launchers, it seems. They have an amplifier actually, so maybe going to be vital in their offense. But no, they rush in a group of launchers into the demise of waiting launchers from CM25K. But now it seems like they have more mana. Look at that mana graph in the bottom left. So much more mana going to the side of 21G111 is going to slowly just edge out an advantage. Even though CM25K is holding a strong defense here, they're just losing the resource war. Their carriers a bit less efficient, it seems, maybe in their pathing or their gathering. They're still holding a defense though, but slowly being overwhelmed. Now they're ahead in the mana gathering. It seems like they're slowly taking the lead. If they can maybe keep on to this and build a couple launchers, but no, now 21G111 shutting out the match and just gathering launchers around the enemy headquarters. It looked dicey for around half a second there, but never in real risk of losing the game. 21G111 in a clean sweep, a 5-0 victory to them, will be advancing in the winner's bracket. Now, Babots versus Joltzer. I don't know if that's pronounced B-bots or Babots, but I'll pronounce it with a stutter for now. Joltzer grabbing onto a lot of Jolter's carriers in the top right, really confused. I don't know what's going on there. Looks like some communication gone poorly. They definitely could have seen that mana well, but just wasting so much time. But now that they found the mana well, a big group of launchers in the top right. But in the meanwhile, you know, that bottom right headquarter not ever finding the mana well and just sticking on the adamantium well is not going to have enough resources to defend against a coordinated attack from the bots. But they still can't breach the top right with the mana well gathered. I don't think Jolter can breach the top right either with how many robots they have stuck. But now approaching into the middle, swiftly repelled by a wave of launchers, but contesting that one island will be a victory off tiebreak to Babots though. Jolter taking a little too long to accelerate into that match. Now struggling to find the wells once again. Jolter really having trouble with finding these wells early game and going to lead to quite the early game deficit and resources. Although we did see a beginning of a recovery. Oh, wow. Okay. So even though they begin to recover on the mana, the bots just closing out the game instantly. So let's see how this occurs on a smaller map once again. If they can just grab onto these early islands once again, as we saw in the previous map, Jolter able to accelerate if they have enough time, but might not have enough time. One island captured already, anchors going to the other ones. That carrier, maybe if it can just hold on to an anchor and move into the robot. But now Jolter just moving forwards with their own group of launchers, but not fast enough. 3 islands captured, and the bots or B-bots will be taking the set. Jolter actually contesting the set towards the last few matches, but just not fast enough early game to find these wells. Now we have No Thoughts Head Empty versus Battlecode team. I wonder how this will go. It looks like for now, No Thoughts Head Empty will be the one taking the lead into the middle of the map, streaming in with a group of launchers just completely devastating the defense. I didn't even see what happened there. It was so swift, but it looks like maybe just a launcher advantage or better launcher micro just completely outpacing there and going to grab 6 islands very swiftly. We'll see how this continues into the next few matches as the headquarters of these next two a bit closer to the islands. But once again, for this map, you only need to capture those center 2 islands in the one near your headquarter. An island rush strategy perhaps going to be very effective if the other team doesn't defend well. Both teams here with good resource gains, but it seems like No Thoughts Head Empty is the one who gets the upper hand. And now, once again, it seems like to me from the resource gain graphs that maybe Battlecode team focusing a bit too much on the adamantium wells early game, not capturing the mana wells or looking for them well enough. And look at that resource graph, just No Thoughts Head Empty with so much more mana and so much more launchers as a result will dominate the game. Now onto our third map, we'll see if Battlecode team can resurge here. It seems like they find the mana well, but they only have a few carriers harvesting. We'll see how this comes out in a combat advantage or a combat deficit. But now it looks like their carrier's focusing on that mono well, and the team's quite tight. But for now, No Thoughts Head Empty is the one getting the upper hand of the trade in the middle. Launchers streaming in and now harassing these carriers off the wells. No Thoughts Head Empty with a dominating performance, finding the mono wells, utilizing them very well, and also outmaneuvering the enemy carriers in combat. It looks like No Thoughts Head Empty will be taking the set 3-0 in the winners bracket. Kadoto team continuing in the losers, but a clean sweep and a very convincing performance. Now into Surface Kickers versus Uwu. I wonder where Uwu's sister team Owo is, but for now, it seems like they overinvest into an attack in the middle. Launchers overstepping their boundaries and approaching enemies a bit too much, but they have some islands captured. If this comes down to a tiebreak, they will be the victors. They have one island captured, that island though being contested, another one captured. And now it seems like Surface Kickers with the dominant performance in combat will be taking 6 islands so swiftly. Onto Elephant, we'll see how this goes. Once again, these islands very easy to capture. It really comes down to this combat. Maybe Uwu advancing a bit too far on those currents, getting whisked into the enemies, getting just tossed into a group of enemy launchers and completely devastated, though they still do have a group of launchers defending. We'll see if that group of launchers can muster a resistance, but for now, Surface Kickers with their own launchers streaming into the bottom side, taking control of the Adamantium and Monowell. Uwu still has control of their right headquarter, but not control of their right monowell, going to be devastating for the economy in the long run. But Surface Kickers won't even want to see the long run as they just closes out so quickly. Now, once again, this map really comes down to who can control the middle first. But Uwu launching an early attack, as we've seen, Uwu really favoring an early launch of launchers into the enemy team, but often not coming to their benefit, as now a counterattack, one single red launcher devastating the enemy carriers. Uwu's economy in shambles after that one, and Surface Kickers with just the better maneuvering of the launchers, knowing when to hold a defense and knowing when to push an attack, comes out on top of all of the early combat and convincingly sweeps the set to stay in the winner's bracket. Now we'll be proceeding in the round 3 losers minor bracket. I believe this is round 4 of the losers bracket challenge. I might be incorrect there. These teams fighting to stay in the tournament. We'll see who can stay in and who will keep their chance to win the losers bracket and keep a spot in the tournament. Extremely mid, I believe. An interesting map. Certainly mid. Lots of launchers really getting lost at the start. It seems like team is the one to find all of these wells. Jolts are very slow on finding the wells, but now that they have control of the middle, and this means they'll be the one with control of the mono wells. But team sending in reinforcements, both teams very close in the mono war, but Joltzer is the one in the lead now with the number of launchers. Lots of those launchers now rushing into the middle, but not able to completely propel. Now team grabbing onto those 2 islands and utilizing their healing to control the mid of this game. Extremely mid, really coming down to who can control the mid here. Joltzer has a huge group of launchers though. If they can approach into the middle of this map, they will get control of those islands and the wells as a result. And it seems like team really just staying within their team and not approaching out. They have a few launchers, but Jolts are just now dominating in the terms of mana gain. They're slowly capturing these islands, but they do need to get some more in order to win the tiebreak. They now have 4 islands captured. Team needs to try to regain a few. Maybe they can grab the island on the side, or maybe they can contest the middle with the few launchers they have. That one launcher killing like 4 or 5 carriers, but it won't matter. Jolts are closing it out in a 75% tiebreak. Now onto another massive match, Fractured. I wonder where this map could have come from. Looks a little familiar to me, if you ask. But for now, both teams fighting over the middle of this map, or the middle of each of these sides. It looks like it's a reflection on the 2 sides. Controlling the middle and really holding the site here. We'll see who can take over. But for now, it looks like neither team really willing to approach. Joltzer is the first one to launch an attack on that side, but a synonymous attack from team with their own launchers. We'll see. It seems like the teams are quite content to just hold their own spots. not really approaching the opponents and finding these islands. Some islands discovered by team and Jolter. Jolter's carriers trying to get an anchor to the island, but really struggling in the bottom left. But now winning out on the launcher combat, Jolter slowly just going to crawl across this map. If they can get an anchor in, they will win quite convincingly from the tiebreak. But otherwise, it will come down to mana. Finally, those anchors finding their way to the bottom left island. Took them around 500 turns, but they do get there eventually and will close out the map. It won't matter either way because they won the combat. Oh no, a few carriers stranded on the enemy sides, immediately dispatched. We'll see who can get more mana. For now, it seems like Jolter is the one who found these mana wells faster and is farming them more efficiently, but team is still in it. An equal number of mana and an equal number of launchers so far. Jolter a little bit on the combat edge here, and team sending so many carriers to their doom, and team just streaming carriers in the bottom side of the map, but just being eliminated one by one as they enter. Jolter now spreading their influence across these moon phases. Now we have a slightly covered moon from Jolter. Jolter looking to just defend, and those carriers with anchors a little lost. But it seems like team just doesn't have the launchers or resources to approach. They're still in it. Only a difference of around 5 to 10 launchers between the two teams. It really comes down to who can maneuver. And it seems like Jolter's launchers are a bit stuck in that cloud up there. If team can maybe gather their launchers into an attack, they have a chance. And if they can just grab a few islands, they certainly have the map control to just capture 3, 4, 5 islands and just win off the tiebreak. Jolter just staying within themselves. Somehow those launchers at the top getting thinned out. And it's really going to come down to who can grab onto the islands here. But for now, Jolter is the only one with an island. Team needs to grab onto an island or two at the end, but not doing so. No anchors manufactured and no islands captured. Jolter will be closing out the set 3-0 in a very back and forth last game there. So congratulations to Jolter for staying in. Now we have CM25K versus Wisdomless. We'll see if Wisdomless has the wisdom to approach the middle of this map, but for now, CM25K is the one who takes control of the center and takes control of those middle wells. They have a strong defense of launchers, and Wisdomless rushing in launchers with the currents, maybe not the best idea. Each of those launchers just getting whisked in once again by the currents. Now CM25K launching an attack, and Wisdomless, all of those launchers got completely decimated, just going in one by one, and they have no launchers at home to defend. CM25K now approaching both headquarters, and Wisdomless with no methods to defend is going to just lose all their carriers and all those resources. CM25K though capturing 2 islands, and that will be closing out the set. They just need a few more islands, and that will be a 75% win condition. CM25K showing a dominant burst performance, but now in this game, maybe a bit easier to defend in. We'll see how these two teams approach. For now, it seems like a few launchers from Wisdomless controlling that bottom island. If an anchor can get there, they can certainly control. Actually, on the left side, just completely dominating those. But CM25K with 41 launchers, just taking advantage of these mana wells so much better. And now controlling one of the headquarters, still in it though. It seems like Wisdomless just couldn't find the mana wells on the top side of the map or the bottom side of the map, while CM25K searching until they find a mana well and not stopping at the adamantium is going to now just inflate their mana advantage, though they haven't yet captured any of these islands, and a strong defense from Wisdomless is still lurking in that top left island. It's not quite over yet, even though CM25K is just 4 times the launchers of Wisdomless. They need to get to these islands and capture them in order to really close out this set, or Wisdomless has a chance to maybe sneak away an island or two. But CM25K winning on the mana tiebreak as no teams can find these islands. And now Wisdomless needs to win this game to stay in the tournament. For now, they're holding a strong defense. They have 2 islands captured, and they do find the mana wells this time, although farming them a bit less efficiently, not enough carriers produced. It seems like CM25K once again taking the lead in the mana, but Wisdomless is maneuvering the map pretty well here. They have control of the center. They need to defend from that top attack, but none of those launchers are budging off of the islands. It seems like they're content to just sit on their healing pads, but not come back to defend their manufacturing base. Wisdomless not going to be able to defend even if those launchers are healed. It seems like Wisdomless this time able to find the mana wells, but just not able to farm them efficiently enough and not able to really communicate to those central launchers to come back and defend their headquarters. Now CM25K streaming across this match is looking to just take this set 3-0 and continue their performance in this tournament. They have found a few islands, but it looks like it won't matter. CM25K will be the winners of this set. And winning 5-0 in a clean sweep, a strong performance. Now into Uwu versus Head. I have to say that the MIT team names are really different than the rest of the names that we come across in the US qualifiers. But it seems like Head is the one winning out on the combat here. Uwu not really finding their place in this map. Although a new batch of launchers quickly repelling and breaking free that bottom left headquarter, but they just don't have the carriers to get these mana back to their headquarters. A bunch of carriers rushing out, but just getting adamantium not going to be helpful in retaking map control. Head is the one who's going to be taking this first game as soon as they get one more island down. It looks like they're just content. Oh, actually, a slight resurgence from Uwu in the bottom left, but it's just a little too little and a little too late. Head will just take 6 islands with their map control. This map really comes down to who can get onto the mana wells and who can farm them efficiently. It seems like lots of these teams struggling to find the mana wells and convert those into launcher advantages. But now 2 islands captured. This map only has 4 islands, and that bottom right island is in control. And there is a carrier with an anchor around that area. It just, oh, finally finding the island. And what a swift victory on what a large map. On Fractured, Head advantage in launchers, 82 launchers to 7, but Uwu just finding the island so quickly. Looks like a mover exploring the map a little bit better and just playing the island game very cleanly. Now Uwu just completely dominating early combat, but they do give up the bottom left headquarter for it. But it seems like it won't matter. Head's launchers just away from home and no way home, won't be finding their way back to the headquarters. Uwu showing that they can stay in this map and going to take the lead in the set in a 6 island lead. Now onto Pillars, a new map. This looks like Flappy Bird to me, to be honest. It was the inspiration according to the dev who created it. Now we'll see who can flap to the other side a bit faster. Uwu is the one to do so, but Head has a group of launchers and has a group of carriers. Those launchers not defending those carriers, and even though there's 9-10 carriers farming that one mana well, no defense to be found, and Head just sticking a bit close to their base and not defending these islands. Uwu stealing a few games away and closing out in a very convincing fashion, 3-2. A very close set. If maybe Fractured went the other way, it would have been gone the other way. But now Battlecode team versus Faust. We'll see what Faust thinks about extremely mid. But for now, they're now both streaming into the center. It seems like Battlecode team is the one to take the advantage in combat, but Faust contesting it with their launchers and not making it easy. And the reinforcements from Battlecode team not there to really defend. Now we're seeing a back and forth, islands being captured and some healing coming into play perhaps, but neither team really able to hold on to the middle of this map for a prolonged period of time will be a deciding factor, as now Battlecode team is the one to explore the map and find these islands much faster. Once again, this map, who can capture the island and who can find the mana well is really what matters the most. Hard to look at every bit of this map, but it seems like for now, Battlecode team, the one farming a bit more efficiently, double the mana gains of Faust, but Faust with their own group of carriers and their own group of launchers still in it, capturing one island already if they can maybe navigate to the other ones with a small defensive force. But no, they have 2 islands captured actually, and they have control of the top right. They just need to sneak an anchor in there. Even though they have less launchers, they still have a chance to take this game. But that launcher just can't find its way to the island. Or that carrier just holding an anchor, but just can't get to the island, bug nabbing back and forth on top of its friend. Oh no. Battlecode team now going to inflate on his resources, has 80 launchers to 12. But they're not leaving their base. It might go to a tiebreak and it might go to Faust if Battlecode team won't leave their base quite efficiently enough. And it looks like it might. They just need to get rid of one of those islands. But no, Faust will take the set. 2 islands to 1. Now onto this map. It seems like Faust gaining the upper hand on combat, but a very strong back and forth. Both teams defending pretty well. But it looks like Faust is the one to take control of the middle. A 2-pronged attack, one on the bottom, one on the top, and wow, a very swift island victory. The islands here are a bit easier to navigate than Fractured and just instantly ending it. We'll see if they can repeat this phenomenon again. If they get control of the middle, they can certainly just grab onto these 3 islands and they have control of the middle. They outmaneuver these launchers in combat, and one red launcher from Battlecode team just stuck in the bottom doing loops with itself. But Faust hasn't yet gotten these anchors, and Battlecode team has so much more mana. Faust, once again, getting a resource advantage, but just not playing out the map quite well enough. They have 2 islands now, though, and because of their resource advantage, they do take control of the middle. It's going to be up to who can get this island from the other person. Neither team really has control of the middle. Those are launchers now approaching in, but it's repelled by a few launchers from Faust themselves. Faust approaching from the bottom here is going to maybe retake this island, and Battlecode team struggling to remove control of it. It's really going to come down to who can get the anchor onto the other island first. But both teams quite content to stay within their bases. A few launchers now wreaking havoc on Faust, and maybe this will be the deciding factor. Faust with the counterattack not successful. It looks like it might go to a tiebreak, even though Battlecode team slowly approaching the middle, not actually removing control of that island. Faust not able to defend with just how much less mana they have. Battlecode team farming the mana well so efficiently, now removing the anchor. If they can get one to the island, it will be a 75% win condition, but otherwise it looks like the tiebreaker might suffice. But Faust retaking control of the island, but just no mana to work with. Battlecode team winning off 75%. A new map here on our game 5 spot. Is that a smiley face in the middle? Certainly a little spotty. It seems like Battlecode team approaching the top and Faust defending quite well. It's really going to come down to who can play the map here a little bit better. This is a massive map with so many resources and so many clouds just lurking everywhere. I find it unlikely for a team to capture all 75% of islands, but actually Battlecode team is proving me wrong. They have 5 islands captured. There are only 8 on the map. They just need 1 more, and now a stream of launchers removing control. Somehow Faust just collapsing all of a sudden there, and Battlecode team just needs 1 more island, and a few carriers with anchors are just sitting in the middle of the map, a little confused. I believe they haven't found the islands quite yet. 1 island at the top has been discovered, but no communication to go capture it. But either way, it looks like Battlecode team will just win off a tiebreak, even if they can't find the last island. Somehow just managing to suddenly swarm in. I believe it was due to the mana farming, but it wasn't so clear. But Battlecode team finding the last island and winning 3-2. A very close set between these 2 teams, and coming down to who can control the middle and who can control these islands better. Now we'll be proceeding on to our round 3 losers major. Teams here going to fight those who have descended from the top. We have Uwu versus Battlecode team, Jolter versus CM25K. These teams need to win these matches to have a chance to take out and win the losers bracket to become a finalist. For now, Jolter not producing launchers, but finally some launchers produced right in time as an attack comes in from the bottom side, really dispersing across the map. I wonder if that was finding symmetry. I wonder if that was looking for wells. Either way, it looks like they are the one to find the wells, and CM25K just hasn't found this other mana well. However, Jolter not farming it too efficiently, just 1 or 2 carriers, and those carriers after farming the well just run into their deaths, don't have a way back home. And perhaps this is going to be the fatal flaw. CM25K 1 island captured, and so many launchers just camping that bottom cloud. Jolter doesn't have a way of actually getting these resources back to base, it seems. Carriers stuck on each other above the well, and those who find their way down just approach the bottom into the maws of CM25K. Oh no, it seems like it won't matter if CM25K can't find this mana well, for all the mana from Jolter falls into the void. CM25K still holding the defense here and going to win off the island tiebreak. Jolter having so much map control and knowing where everything is on the map, but just not getting those anchors down and not getting those mana back. You see a little bit of a dance around the bottom wells. We'll see who comes out on top. It seems like CM25K is farming the mana much more efficiently. Jolter not getting the mana, just sitting on adamantium. Now finally realizing there's a mana well right next to them. Going to do that, but it might be too late. Look at that launcher advantage from CM25K. Just the first 200 rounds where Jolter missed out on that mana well is so vital. as getting more adamantium certainly helpful, but not enough in the early game when you really need the launchers to skirmish around these islands and defend your base. For now, Jolter isn't quite approaching. CM25K isn't quite approaching. Jolter now that they have their mana peaking in their mana production, is going to relish their own force of launchers, but they don't have control of the islands. If CM25K can just get down one more anchor, it will be at the end of the game. And now it looks like the offensive force from Jolter has also fallen apart. CM25K now dominating both sides of this map, both the islands on the right and the wells on the left. A reverse funnel coming into play, and CM25K going to take this next game. Back onto Spiderweb, we'll see if CM25K can manage to grab on and just close out the set 3-0, or if Jolter can hold back. Jolter winning an early scrap, but once again, those carriers very confused in the top side of the map and not really doing anything. Finally realizing on communication, it seems, but it might be too late. CM25K has control of the map. If they can get some anchors down, they will close it out. But Jolter not letting go easily with an own group of launchers. It seems like they got a lot of value out of those launchers. And maybe if they can just harvest a bit of mana and prolong the game before islands get captured, they have a chance back in. Lots of those carriers in the middle. Oh my God, all of a sudden, islands captured everywhere from CM25K. They just need a few more islands. Jolter just carriers flooding around, but no launchers to be seen. CM25K just needs one more island, I believe, to close out this set. And Jolter maybe looking to retake a few islands if they can, looking for a miracle, but CM25K has so many robots just flooding across the central spider web. Jolter getting caught in the web and not able to do anything here. And it looks like it will go to a tiebreak, and it will go to CM25K. A convincing performance from both teams to get this far, but it looks like CM25K will be the one to advance onto, I believe, the semifinals of the losers bracket. I might need to get fact checked on that, but for now, Battlecode team versus Uwu. Battlecode team is the one to attack via this secret tunnel on the bottom side of the crown, but a counterattack from Uwu keeps things strong. Uwu's carrier is just nowhere to be seen after being attacked, but Battlecode team also just has no idea that the mana wells exist because they haven't found them. Some carriers from Battlecode team do discover the opposite side's mana well, but Uwu's launcher is just camping a little corner of that crown, getting there, but they just don't have any carriers and no way of getting out of their base. Maybe if they can store up a few more rushes like that, they do have a chance to break out. Lots of those robots nearby are carriers, but it seems like Battlecode team finally finding these islands and capturing them, closing out the game. Now into reverse funnel. We'll see how these teams do. For now, Battlecode team taking control of the right side while Uwu holding a defense here. They're roughly equal on, actually Battlecode team with few more launchers, perhaps farming the mana well more efficiently. But Uwu certainly has enough launchers to contend an offensive force if they can hold a strong defense. But strong defense is not everything they need. They also need to attack that right side and grab onto those islands. But they do get one island. Battlecode team swiftly dispelling it, but recaptured. Uwu starting to contest, but no launchers approaching that area, and in very isolated packs. Either team has the chance to just launch an attack on the other side, but for now, it looks like they're just going to play the waiting game, both sides just holding a defense. But Battlecode team hasn't had any islands captured, and if they don't capture any islands, this certainly will just be a tiebreak victory for Uwu, who managed to grab onto those islands early on. For now, Battlecode team certainly has so much map control and Uwu not leaving their base, but Battlecode team just needs to grab onto these anchors, and it's a bit too crowded to just navigate. I think Uwu will take the tiebreak if they just hold strong. And it will be a tiebreak going in favor of Uwu. Battlecode team with more mana, but just never capturing a single island, while Uwu contesting an island once or twice is going to win them the game. Onto Spiderweb, lots of islands, some combat early on. Uwu maybe winning out on the combat. It seems like they are the ones winning the combat. Going to maybe take the lead in this set unless Battlecode team can break out of these encirclements. But now Uwu, as we've seen, capturing these islands quite swiftly, might just close it out, and going around the clock and around the web, they do just close out this third game. A back and forth set. Now into new map, swooshy. Okay, I'm being corrected by the dev who made this map. Both teams approaching. Now, Karuto team is the first one to explore and the first one to attack. They have more map info here. They know the symmetry. They know where everything is. We'll see if they can make use of that info. But for now, Uwu initially with more mana produced, but as soon as Karuto team finds those mana wells, their production spiking. And in the long run, they'll certainly take the lead. But Uwu just swiftly grabbing onto these islands before Karuto team can recover and just going to close out the set 3-1. A swift victory for Uwu, and Karuto team will be eliminated from the losers bracket. Now onto the round 4 of winners. I believe this is going to be our winners semifinals. Certainly our winners semifinals, teams here will only need to win 2 more games in order to enter the finals of the overall tournament. We have 21G111 versus the bots. We'll see how these two teams match up against each other. Both teams sort of holding in and now exploring their fish cake. 21G111 is the one with the amplifier and the one to explore the middle. And now taking control of this middle and communicating all that information back to the rest of their robots. Now flooding in with a coordinated attack, but repelled by B-bots. B-bots with lots of robots just lurking in their base. One island captured, actually. Once again, fish cake really coming down to who can get onto these middle 2 islands and just rush out the map before the opponent has a chance to defend. For now, 21G111 holding strong onto their defense in the middle of the map. Both teams very close in mana and very close in launchers, equal combat forces, but 21G111 with a better launcher macro and micro just swarming onto the enemy's team's base and launching a devastating attack, eliminating these bots and dismantling the defense so effectively. 21G111 now capturing the islands and going to take the first map. But a very close early game between these two teams. Now to Fracture, a very large map. Once again, a large map, but only 4 islands, and both teams showing that they do enjoy capturing these islands early. 21G111 is the first to attack. They seem to have the more offensive strategy, and that certainly benefited them here where they launched an attack on unsuspecting carriers and more coordination too. 21G111 showing their superior offensive prowess here and just dominating the map, playing it so well with groups of launchers attacking from both sides and attacking vital parts of B-bots, and B-bots just not able to defend these carriers and not able to maintain their formation. They did capture an island, however, and they still do have control of the top headquarter. B-bots has a chance to win on tiebreak if 21G111 can't get to these islands, but now 1 island captured will be the nail in the coffin for B-bots. And 21G111 just needs to capture a few more islands to secure the victory, and that will be a 75% win condition. Now back onto his looking glass. We've seen a pretty back and forth in the offense and defense of these two teams. This time it seems like B-bots is the offensive team. 21G111 holding a position here and not budging forwards across those walls. A strong defense, but it's really going to come down to who gets more launchers here and who maneuvers the micro. Now 21G111 pushing their way in, getting the upper hand of an equal fight, and B-bots just not grouped enough with their attacks and just not coordinated enough. 21G111 showing that they can play an offensive strategy in addition to such a strong defensive clamp on the middle of this map. But still, the islands are still uncaptured and we're approaching round 700. It will really come down to whether 21G111 can enter the defense of B-bots and whether B-bots can maybe hold on and hang on to these islands. But the healing doing so much for those bottom launchers, but will just be overwhelmed by a sudden such a sudden wave of robots coming from 21G111. Such coordinated offense and such a convincing victory in a 3-0 and a 5-0 sweep for 21G111. Incredible performance on both offensive and defensive strategies. Now, no thoughts, head empty, service kickers. The victor of this will fight 21G111 for the finalists, for our first winners bracket finalist spot. We'll see how these two teams match up. A back and forth of offense so far. Surface Kicker streaming some bots into a successful attack, but repelled immediately. Now, No Thoughts Head Empty, approaching the fish cake. We'll see who can hold on to defense here. Both teams with such strong defense and offense. For now, Surface Kickers has 2 islands. They just need 1 more, and they can certainly contest it. And sneaking in a carrier, even though No Thoughts Head Empty has control of the islands, going to just sneak away that first map in a very close back and forth. Now, once again, this map, it really comes down to who can launch these coordinated attacks on the enemies, and maybe who can grab these islands. We've seen several successful strategies on Fractured, but for now, it seems like maybe pushing is the best strategy. An attack from No Thoughts Head Empty on the bottom side and the right side of this map. We'll see if it's successful, but it looks like it is. Swarming into the top, into the middle headquarter, and Surface Kickers grabbing onto an island, but not able to leave their base. This time, No Thoughts Head Empty getting the upper hand of the combat in a better flank and a better map control, but they need islands. They have 1 island captured. If they can just get 1 more, that will be a guaranteed victory. And No Thoughts Head Empty striking back and tying this at 1-1. Looking Glass, as we've seen again, really comes down to who can hold the defense and who can push effectively. Some early launchers from Surface Kickers killing a few carriers. We'll see if that comes into play, but now a sudden and violent counterattack from No Thoughts Head Empty, swarming in, but they can't get past those currents. The currents doing so much defensive work, perhaps. And now Surface Kickers holding the defense here, and both teams quite equal on mana and not so far apart in robots. It's really going to come down to who can defend. An early attack from Surface Kickers failed, but now the secondary counterattack from No Thoughts Head Empty getting repelled so effectively. Still not able to breach the center, even though they have more robots. And both teams with lots of islands captured. It might go down to a tiebreak here if no team can break through. No Thoughts Head Empty, though, slowly inching forwards in their ground. And lots of those robots now are the carriers and not launchers. Surface Kickers might get taken out in this map if they can't muster a defense for long enough. But it's coming down to the tiebreak, it looks like. Islands captured equal. It's going to be a mana tiebreak, it seems. And No Thoughts Head Empty is so far ahead on the mana, hoarding like 2,700 mana for themselves. Looks like it won't matter, and it will be No Thoughts Head Empty taking this off the mana tiebreak. Now onto moon phases. We'll see who can turn this moon full first, but No Thoughts Head Empty is the one to control the middle of the map. Very deftly converting that attack into a defense, as an attack from Surface Kickers from both sides of the map immediately repelled from the middle, as the initial attack just so well coordinated, immediately knowing to rush back to their base and repel in a strong counterattack. Surface Kickers looks like they'll be losing out on this map. Now the moon slowly turning red, and this blood moon, it goes in favor of No Thoughts Head Empty, 3-2 in a close set. And No Thoughts Head Empty will be the one to fight 21G111 for our last finalist spot, but we'll be seeing that later. For now, we'll be going back to our losers bracket and see who can hold their spot in the tournament. Strong teams from the winners bracket now coming down to the losers into an intense set of matches. Starting off, we have Surface Kickers, who we just saw against CM25K onto, I believe, build site. We'll see who can find the site to build. And it looks like Surface Kickers is the one to grab control of the middle, but a very coordinated approach from CM25K, making sure their launchers are grouped, but stretching themselves a little thin on the top side. They're holding a defense, though, and it's very hard to approach these corridors. Surface Kickers, though, certainly has the resources to work with, but these two teams completely even on the robots. It seems like it's going to come down to who can play these better, but all of CM25K's robots invested in that top right. Now a sudden attack only gets so far. It looks like now they're burning out, and Surface Kickers will just grab all the islands. CM25K abandoning that bottom right headquarter, not able to defend it well enough. And Surface Kickers taking advantage of that to capture 2 extra islands will just win on 75%. Now, once again, Surface Kickers taking control of the middle, and those mana wells in the middle will just be devastated. And now Surface Kickers looking like they just want to close out this set as fast as they can and contest the winner's bracket once again. CM25K not able to defend their wells enough. Seems like CM25K playing a very coordinated strategy, but just struggling to defend very well. Surface Kickers very efficient in controlling the middle of the map and knowing when to approach the opponent. Surface Kickers, once again, as expected, will be the one to take the middle, but CM25K, we've seen it before that they can just push such a concentrated and slow and effective force towards to recapture map control. But for now, Surface Kickers is attacking that mana while those carriers being devastated and so much mana lost as a result, falling into the abyss. CM25K losing complete control, and Surface Kickers in such a fast and dominating fashion, just grabbing control of the mana wells, and CM25K not able to defend them as efficiently. A swift set from Surface Kickers, going to be a 5-0 clean sweep. What a dominating performance. They will be fighting once again for the last spot in our finals. Now Uwu and B-Bots fighting for the middle. B-Bots holding a strong defense so far. It looks like it's really going to come down to who can farm out more robots. Uwu losing a lot of robots in a lot of ineffective attacks might be their demise, just sending in these swarms over and over, but the swarms ineffective, not utilizing the island healing and not utilizing a strong defense well enough. Look at these swarms just coming in, crashing down in waves, but each of these waves swiftly repelled, but it is doing its work. It did dispel those middle launchers and gathering anchors along the way. With those attacks come carriers holding anchors and just immediately capturing those islands, giving B-Bots no room to breathe and no room to counterattack in such a clever strategy there. Now B-Bots rushing in on these currents might not be the best idea. You're rushing into a group of launchers just waiting for prey. And it looks like both teams here, it looks like Uwu is the one to find the mana well. B-Bots struggling to explore with these carriers. Lots of these carriers seemingly getting stuck maybe on difficult pathfinding situations. Uwu with the superior exploration and pathfinding just closing out that set immediately. And maybe Uwu, the comeback in the first game and the swift victory in the second, we'll see if something else happens in the third. They are the one to take controls of the center and immediately dispel those mana walls, but still not quite yet a victory. Now launchers camping out the top headquarter, but so many launchers on B-Bot's side. They could have defended the headquarter, but now a swift victory from Uwu. Uwu is swiftly capturing these islands and B-Bots struggling to defend. Lots of those launchers grouped in places that they aren't necessary in. And Uwu will be advancing in our losers bracket to fight the Surface Kickers. So looking to shape up to be an exciting next match here. This match going to decide, I believe, our second finalist. Although might want to check the bracket. I see. So this will decide fourth place. Winner of this game will go on to fight. Will go on to compete in another game before they can decide who will advance to the finals. Surface Kickers versus Uwu. We've seen some pretty different strategies from these two teams. We'll see if that comes to play. Really, crown comes to who can get onto this mana well and who can defend. But even though Uwu swarms its launchers into the middle, leaving their base undefended, but now a counterattack from the top side, those launchers away from home. And now they're able to break out of the encirclement, but now Surface Kickers just maneuvering those first rounds, taking the more direct route to the enemy headquarters, just immediately dispelling those carriers. But Uwu holding a defense, and even though they lost control of their headquarters for a moment, they're still defending quite well with new waves of launchers, but Surface Kickers has control of the map here. Lots of Surface Kickers launchers grouped at the bottom, not really helping in enclosing that headquarter in, allowing lots of these launchers from Uwu's to escape. But it looks like it might not matter. It's going to come down to who can capture the islands, actually. Neither team has gotten islands. If Uwu can actually just sneak out maybe and grab onto that island right next to them. But no, Surface Kickers is the one to get onto the island. And wow, immediately two more islands captured, and Surface Kickers will take the first game. On to extremely mid. Uwu swarming into the middle. But Surface Kickers holding a defense. Uwu, a sudden attack on the top left headquarter, immediately repelled by Surface Kickers. Now Surface Kickers reaping the benefits of that strong defense is going to have more launchers to work with, might just be able to approach Uwu with numbers. Uwu has 3 islands captured. They just need 2 more, but now the bottom left headquarter lost to the overwhelming numbers from Surface Kickers. Surface Kickers swiftly punishing the failed attack from Uwu and going to take the second map onto Fractured. We'll see if something different can happen. So far, Surface Kickers showing some dominance in these first 2 games. Uwu maybe looking to defend. Surface Kickers launching an attack of their own. Both teams sort of fueling out this map, looking for the islands. Uwu is the first to find, but Surface Kickers sees the island captured by Uwu, wants to get rid of it, but can't quite do so. But they have so many numbers, and the top half of this map has just been overrun by them. Surface Kickers, with double the launchers of Uwu and so much more mana, is just going to slowly spread their influence across this map, and they will indeed just capture 3 islands. Uwu not able to challenge the dominance of Surface Kickers in these maps, and them taking the set 5-0. Now, Surface Kickers looking to come back from the losers bracket and rise up to become one of our 2 newbie finalists. Uwu is our 4th place team, and Uwu will be receiving a cash prize of $200. Surface Kickers is at least our 3rd place team. Will be challenging. Oh. So this will be 21G 111. No Thoughts Head Empty fighting for our first finalist spot. The winner of this one will become our first finalist. The loser will have a chance to challenge Surface Kickers for another go. For now, it seems like 21G 111 taking the upper hand in the middle, but No Thoughts Head Empty certainly still has some bite in them. Some launchers back at base, still able to fend off a temporary attack, but now a second wave of the attack comes in. No Thoughts Head Empty has 200 mana and perhaps they can hold a defense, but no, new launchers coming in and just closing out any ideas of a comeback. 21G 111 with such a swift and convincing victory, just completely outplaying No Thoughts Head Empty in the early offense. No Thoughts Head Empty. We'll see if their head is empty here. Hopefully able to muster defense, but no, 21G 111 with a strong attack up above, but repelled by a new wave of launchers. This is a back and forth off the top side of the map. The teams abandoning the middle for a while just to attack on the bottom side. And it seems like No Thoughts Head Empty is the one who gets the upper hand this time, so swiftly, just dispelling the cluster of forces from 21G 111. 21G 111 looked like they had the upper hand for a moment there, but not defending well enough. And No Thoughts Head Empty in an incredible comeback right there. Now to a new map, Pipes and Parabolas. We'll see. Is this a Mario map? Oh, why is there a jail cell? So the creator of this map enjoying some jail cells, it seems, and both teams getting themselves quite jailed. We'll have a conversation with whoever made this map afterwards. But for now, 21G 111 getting the upper hand here. Both teams actually getting stuck in the jail cell, but it seems like, oh no, No Thoughts Head Empty has so many launchers stuck in jail, but they actually retake the map all of a sudden. It doesn't matter if they're jailed, if you just have more waiting to go. No Thoughts Head Empty going to take this 3rd game, it looks like. It looked so grim for them for a moment. 21G 111 overran the map, but suddenly they just had a resurgence of life. And No Thoughts Head Empty with an incredible comeback in both maps 2 and 3. Oh, I see. The map creator had no idea they created jail cells. Too much power, it seems. 21G 111 and No Thoughts Head Empty, neither of them really contesting the right side islands, just fighting over the middle. So many amplifiers from No Thoughts Head Empty. I have to wonder what they're amplifying. But No Thoughts Head Empty holding a defense, but now 21G 111 crashing down on them with a wave of launchers from the right side, but holding the defense strong still. They are up 2-1, and if they can win this set, if they can win this game, they will close out the set. But now the complete economic advantage and the better micro over the walls will go to 21G 111's favor. and they will take 75% of the islands. We will be going to a game 5 on Spiderweb. Who can navigate the web a bit more efficiently? We see them with different strategies, it seems. 21G, 111 approaching from either side, launching an attack now onto the headquarters. No Thoughts Head Empty defending quite well, but now carriers dispersed. 21G, 111 with an effective attack and a flank on the top side of the map, dismantling the defense from No Thoughts Head Empty and taking 75%. 21G, 111 will be our first newbie finalist in our winners bracket and taking this at 3-2 in a very close back and forth set. Some incredible comebacks in that set, but No Thoughts Head Empty not able to close out that last game. And No Thoughts Head Empty will have a second chance now in our last game of the newbie tournament. We'll be running No Thoughts Head Empty versus the Surface Kickers. Winner of this set will go on to the final tournament, will go on to be a finalist of the newbie tournament, while the loser will be third place with a $300 cash prize. Win-win in my book, but we'll see who manages to get a bit further here. This map really about advancing onto the enemy side first and dispelling those monowells. Surface Kickers is approaching, but they're not quite able to get to the monowells. They do slowly latch on though, but a counterattack from No Thoughts Head Empty swarming in from the bottom side, but not yet breaching the defenses, now harassing those carriers on the monowells, dispelling them completely, and no more mana supply to the Surface Kickers will be devastating. And now we see that mana supply kicking in full effect. No Thoughts Head Empty now swarming the map, making sure that Surface Kickers cannot kick the surface of their headquarter range and just completely dismantle. 75% win condition on Elephant, and the Elephant going in favor of No Thoughts Head Empty. On to Looking Glass. Surface Kicker is the first to approach. We've seen this happen. Surface Kicker definitely employing a very offensive strategy in all the matches we've seen, swarming in first, but often if their swarm is counterattacked like we're seeing now, it can lead to doom for them. They need to recoup and perhaps muster up a defense, and the defense they are mustering. No Thoughts Head Empty is trying to approach on the counterattack, but simply cannot. Surface Kicker now swarming in with their own counterattack, holding a strong defense. 4 islands captured on each side. Will just be up to whoever can swarm and capture this middle map, the middle of this Looking Glass first. No Thoughts Head Empty looks like they have an advantage, but they're being pushed back. It's a back and forth. No Thoughts Head Empty has doubled the launchers of Surface Kickers, but Surface Kickers just isn't letting them approach. Even though they have so much more launchers, they just can't get in past the Looking Glass of these two teams. And it looks like this might go to a tie break. Surface Kickers pushing in an early attack, but just failing to get in. But they are slowly whittling down on their numbers, almost 5 times, 6 times the launchers on No Thoughts Head Empty, but they're all stuck under the table and on the chair of this map, but they will take the tiebreaker regardless. Now onto Pillars. Whoever gets control of the middle will just completely dominate this map. No Thoughts Head Empty with the early offensive strategy has proved to be successful, but dispersing to the wrong side of the map. And now Surface Kickers may be launching a counterattack. It's a very close back and forth for now. No Thoughts Head Empty seems to be getting the upper hand. They might just close out the set 3-0 if they can get a few carriers in on those islands. A Surface Kickers isn't going to let them to do so. They are holding a defense, but now swarming in, descending on those carriers. No Thoughts Empty looks like they just want to take out this set 3-0 in such a convincing fashion. One more island to go, and they will be our losers bracket winners and be our losers bracket winners, and will be our second finalists in our newbie tournament in a convincing 5-0 sweep. Surface Kickers will be third and will be receiving $300 for their great performance. But a great set overall and a very close back and forth from both of these teams. Are they in the room actually? No Thoughts Head Empty. Congratulations on your finalists. I'll give them a round of applause. Surface Kickers here? Do we have the Surface Kickers? Surface Kickers are not here. But that will be our MIT newbie tournament. We'll be now going into our high school tournament to determine our high school finalists. Sure, why not? Now we'll see how our high school teams compare to our newbie teams. High school teams, maybe. We should be starting from.
Okay. We'll be letting Andy rest his voice. We want him in prime condition for our final tournament. Do you know where we're starting? Okay. We will wait, hang on for a bit as we figure out where we're gonna get started. But I'm kind of interested to see like what's gonna happen in this tournament. The high schoolers, I think they have a lot more free time than college students. I know iPad stuff to do. So I imagine they have time to do more.
I think we're starting from round 4 winners, but you might want to check.
Okay. Apparently we're starting from round 4 winners, possibly.
Let me check. Yeah, we'll start in round 4. Actually, yeah, I think round.
Okay. Still not entirely sure what's going on, but I will just cast the games as soon as we start playing them. But as I was saying, like these high schoolers, they have a lot less like years of experience. So I'm interested to see like what strategies they come up with and like how they differ from the US qualifiers and the international qualifiers. And like especially our MIT newbie tournament. It's gonna be interesting to see like the disparity in strategies these two teams have. As we're still waiting for something, not entirely sure what. In the meantime, how was your day, guys? Mine was pretty good. I had some oatmeal that I found out I didn't really like oatmeal. Do you guys like oatmeal? I hope not, because I don't. Never counting.
Do we play this one or this one first? I think we can start from losers round 4.
Okay, I think we finally decided what we're doing. So like right now, our thing is beating like the record player strategy. Like right now. 7 out of 3. Okay, now we have a class question about classics.
So if we change reference there, it'll make it easier, and if we beat it at points. Okay, thanks. So if we're beating 7 right now, we don't have to worry. Yeah, we don't have to worry. That means you guys have to pass. Okay, nice.
Okay. Wait. I don't know. Where is the Zoom call? Wait, but like, oh, okay. There you go. Now we're finally started. We have Dage versus Oranges. Sorry for the delay. Dage is actually our 2023 mystery tournament winner. I'm excited to see how they do. They've shown themselves to be a formidable competitor, and I think they might actually be our first seed coming into this. Dage, right off the bat, attacking the enemy headquarters, but their launchers staying too close inside attack radius and they're dying. Now these new launchers learning their lesson, staying outside of range, but in the meantime, Oranges has brought launchers across the map, starting attacking. Dage managed to repel the attack, managed to defend pretty successfully, and now they're completely overrun Oranges. One lonely launcher left, trying his best to attack any clouded seas, but just ends up dying in the end. Dage, however, has no islands left. Has no islands like captured. I don't think they've even built any anchors. We'll see if Dage manages to try and do a strategy of controlling the map and taking care of the islands at the very end. Oranges, they have built an anchor, but they just did not have the map control to take in the islands. And you see that Dage finally does take an island in the bottom. They have an elixir. Dage really flexing on oranges. That's kind of mean of them. Just like winning the game with elixir. This map is very scattered, so I'm interested to see how both teams do on this. There's a lot going on. Oranges seems to be concentrating a lot of their launchers on the bottom middle of the map in one group, trying to attack clouds, but not really doing anything about it. Neither team really seems to be advancing to the other side very much. A lot of them are concentrated on clouds, assuming there's something there when there isn't. Finally, there seems to be some combat in the bottom middle. Dage trying to get rid of Orange's defense, and it looks like they're pretty successful. And Dage, meanwhile, has been capturing islands and sneaking away 3 islands when I wasn't even noticing them. Now we're on to Looking Glass. This map has been pretty difficult for a lot of teams in the newbie tournament. We see a lot of teams getting a lot of their launchers stuck under the table, like below the chair. We'll see if these teams manage to do the same thing, but for now, it looks like they've been pretty successful getting their launchers towards the center of the map. Dage having roughly equal launcher numbers, but a lot more of them are concentrated in the center of the map, which is where you're going to want them. But Oranges managed to send a lot of their launchers over to the center of the map in a concentrated effort, and because of that, they're able to repel a lot of Dage's forces. But while Dage was defending and taking control of the middle, they actually managed to get elixir. And we'll see what they managed to do with all of these destabilizers. There's a lot of dot circles on the screen, but not a lot of them. It actually looked like the stadium just completely wiped out the top right corner of the map. There's so many dots. Dage has 32 destabilizers, and they just completely wiped out oranges. It was super close, but once Dage got destabilizers, they just completely took control of that map. And now we have Omogas versus WWP Trailblazers. Omogas definitely showing why this is the high school tournament. I'm sorry, I won't be mean. I'll be kind of nice. WWP Trailblazers advancing towards the center of the map. Omogas has a few less units right now. Trailblazers has a lot stronger of an economy, but they both have roughly equal launchers. So if Omogas does manage to win the combats, they might be able to reclaim control and retake the economy. But Trailblazers just has a lot more economy right now, a lot more units. We'll see if they start attacking more concentratedly. But from now, both teams are managing to hang on. Neither team going for islands also. So we'll see how this goes on. It looks like Omogas has gotten a chance to start farming adamantium, getting more carriers, and you start seeing some of the exponential growth of resources. But meanwhile, Trailblazers just capturing the islands, taking advantage of Omogas trying to scale up on resources. Now we have this very difficult map to class. There's a lot of things going on in separate locations here. We see that Omogas kind of starting to try and explore on the map in the top middle. Trailblazers more content to stay in their own area. It looks like there is some skirmishing on the top right side of the map. We'll see if the Trailblazers manages to push Omogas back and win another game. It looks like Omogas does repel it, and meanwhile, there's a lot of carriers together in the bottom right side of the map. Trailblazers has taken control of an early island in the bottom right. Because this map only has 4 islands, they only need to capture 2, but Omogas actually bringing a launcher over to take control of the island and remove the control. And they've gotten a lot more resources and a lot more robots right now. Looks like they might be able to just completely overrun the bottom side of the map if Trailblazers doesn't do anything about it. And it looks like it's pretty even on the top side of the map. Well, Omogas has started taking control of islands. They have 2 on the left. They just need the 3rd one on their bottom right. They do have control of the area, but I don't see any carriers with anchors. And it looks like it is going to be a 2,000 round tiebreaker going in favor of Omogas. Now we have Looking Glass. We saw Dage had a very successful strategy going for Elixir on this map last round. We'll see if either team manages to go for Elixir, but historically, not many teams have gone for Elixir. So it seems a bit unlikely. Both teams focusing on resources. early comments in the middle going pretty even. Neither team really managing to push the other back. Trailblazers managing to push forward slightly, but Amogus still hanging on, and their defense seems to be slightly stronger. And I think Amogus might be starting to push into the center of the map. Both teams have so many launches stuck in the bottom side of the map. Trailblazers has captured a few islands on their side of the map. For now, if Amogus doesn't do anything about it, they are going to win off the tiebreaker. But Amogus does have an over 100 launcher advantage. That's huge. If they can manage to bring those launchers over to the other side of the map, they can press on, but they seem to be content staying in the center of the map. And because of that, neither team really seems to be advancing. And it looks like we might be at a bit of a stalemate unless Amogus takes the initiative and starts attacking the top right islands. For now, it looks like Amogus might also be getting a lot of their units stuck in the bottom side of the map. It looks like both teams have like completely filled up the under the area section of the table of robots. And it looks like Amogus is going to take this game off of a 3,000, a very impressive mana lead. Now we have moon phases, which is like a bit smaller from map. The islands are pretty readily accessible. So whichever team gets control in the middle first is probably going to win this game. And Amogus does seems to be pretty successful at taking control of the map. And we have seen, wow, it is completely took control and like that little lag spike. And because of that, Trailblazers are not going to have a way back into this game. And if Amogus just uses some of their map control to take it, well, I don't know what happened, but Trailblazers had a huge comeback with resources at one point, but it wasn't enough as Amogus captured islands and wins off of it. A close match, but Amogus takes it. And now we have Orioles Brawlers versus Sin to Win, or Cian. I'm not sure how you want me to say it. Orioles Brawlers has a lot of launchers just stuck on the wall, attacking clouds. Cian to Win has roughly the same thing, but some of their launchers actually managing to cross over and pathfind their way to the middle of the map. But because, oh wow, okay, Cian to Win just completely took control of 3 islands, taking advantage of the Brawlers' inability to pathfind to the center of the map. And now we see super early aggression from the Brawlers, taking control of Blue's head corner in the bottom left and in the bottom. Cian to Win just has control of one lonely head corner at the top of the map. But this head corner only really has access to 2 islands. So if the Brawlers manages to find the islands and capture them, they'll be able to quickly secure a victory for themselves. Cian to Win has captured 2 islands, but they quickly get recaptured by the Brawlers, and they use that opportunity to capture 3 islands. Now we're tied 1-1. We'll see which team takes on Looking Glass. The launchers in the middle seem to be a lot more concentrated from the Brawlers side. Cian to Win seems to be sending more of like 1 launcher at a time. Looks like they have like launchers separated by like 1 or 2 tiles. I'm not sure if that's intentional or if it's just like a delay in respawning, but it seems like it was actually successful. Cian to Win has passed the center line, is completely decimating Orioles Brawlers' top left head corner. So we'll see if they're able to do anything about it. It is actually pretty plausible to defend that if they manage to bring all of the launchers down in the bottom right up through. But because a lot of them are stuck, it looks like Cian to Win might have more, might be able to just attack it better. It looks like because the islands was in head corner radius, it's map is frozen. Okay, well my zoom's frozen, so looks like I'm gonna be watching from up above, and it looks like Cian to Win has taken the game because of their map control, or because of their successful aggression. And the zoom is very lagging, so I am gonna be casting with this. I apologize. Neither team seems to be going towards the center of the map. Orioles Brawlers managing to launch attacks from the bottom and the top of the map, utilizing those currents to get to there faster. And because of that, Cian to Win has been completely locked out of this game. It looks like Orioles Brawlers is looking to tie this up and go to game 5. They've already captured 3 islands. I believe they need 1 more island. They do manage to find it a pretty quick victory. And I think the zoom is back. Okay, well, I think the zoom is back. Okay. I might move later on. Well, it looks like we do have the unintentional jail. Unintentional jails are always the best kind of jails. Or I guess I should call it, should I call it Juvie for high school tournament? Maybe I literally just saw one of the doves fall. Sorry. CN2N has taken control of the center of the map. Orla's world is a bit more scattered, but they're launching aggression on the bottom left side of the map, and they actually did take control of the top right corner of the map. But they left some launches over, leaving an opportunity for CN to win, but it's not enough. We'll see if Orla's Warriors manages to completely overrun, and it looks like they have CN to win just left with 0 launches, 0 carries, 0 of anything. Orla's Warriors managing to take control of the islands at the end and take the series 3-2. Now we have the Super Wet Battle Clowns versus Scooty. And I know the question that's on everyone's mind is, why are these Battle Clowns wet? Why are they battling? What is their motivation in life? Unfortunately, nobody knows the answer. Both teams seem to be mostly defending. The Battle Clowns have actually brought an amplifier over to the enemy side. The amplifier might have been able to communicate enemy locations, might have been able to communicate the symmetry of the map. We'll see if the Battle Clowns are able to do anything with that information, but for now, Scooty's the one taking the initiative to send launches towards the center of the map and attack. Battle Clowns finally managing to send launches towards the center and repel Scooty. Battle Clowns has taken control of one island on the bottom left. We'll see if they're able to take control. They actually managed to capture the top right islands, surprisingly, and they quickly take it from the 75% win condition. Now we'll see how these teams do on Fractured. My attention is very fractured as I have to look at many things happening at once. Neither team seems to be advancing very much. Scooty seems to have some advances in the bottom top. I hope you guys know what I'm looking at. But Battle Clowns is able to defend, but they actually quickly find 3 islands. Not needing to attack because they know that the win condition is finding islands. We'll see, this map is a bit more difficult to get an early island victory on, as in the past 2 maps, because some of the islands are just directly next to the enemy headquarters. So something we've seen that happens a lot on this map is that teams manage to get the islands, the 4 islands on their side of the map, and they're unable to push through and get islands on the other side of the map. But the Battle Clowns, they do have a launcher force in the center of the map that is steadily advancing, and Scooty hasn't taken control of their own islands. So the Battle Clowns manages to escort a carrier over. They might be able to take over the islands, but Scooty, listening to what I'm saying, finally put down an anchor, finally claim that island for themselves, and it's going to be that much more difficult for the Battle Clowns to go over and reclaim control of the islands. For now, they're still trying to advance, still whittling down at Scooty. And it looks like because the Battle Clowns had a 2,000 mana advantage, they weren't going to take this game. And a clean 3-0, an actual 5-0 from the Battle Clowns to start us off. Now we have the round for losers minor. Now we get our favorite CN to win. Unfortunately, we code in Java. So if that's their win condition using CN, they're not going to be winning. But maybe they have alternate win conditions. We'll see. First off, we have Team Polar combating CN. We haven't seen Team Polar strategy, but it looks like they're letting CN take control of the center of the map. Team Polar has taken control of one of their islands, and it looks like that might actually be successful in managing to repel CN, defend that area, but CN is managing to keep pushing in on the bottom right. But that island doing so much work, doing so much healing, and because of that, Team Polar managing to still defend and hold on. Finally, CN just has so many more launchers and just able to push through and take the islands to win. Now we have Elephant. Both teams advancing towards the center of the map. Team Polar seems to be having a lot more units on the enemy side, but CN also has units, and those units were targeting Team Polar's carriers. And because of that, Team Polar down to 1 carrier left. And with only 1 carrier, there's just not enough resource generation, and CN to win just completely dominates the map. They have control of the carriers. They have control of the map. We'll see if they start taking control of islands. They already have 2, and they get the bottom right one. And CN to win, trying to speed on this series. We'll see which team makes it to the center first. It looks like both teams reached it at roughly the same time, but the fights in the clouds seem to go slightly in favor of CN. But finally, Team Polar, they send more reinforcements. Their launches go through and they start trying to push in. Both teams sending reinforcements. So Team Polar has taken control of 2 of the islands. They just need to get one more carryover with an anchor and capture that 3rd island to win the game. And they listen to what I say, they do it. But now we have a huge map. We have spots. It's going to be very difficult for teams to pathfind in this map, as we already see a lot of units getting stuck inside those spots, I guess. Team Polar taking some early islands. They've taken 4 islands super early on. I believe you need 6 on this map. So, but meanwhile, CN to win, they're not using their resources to build anchors. They're using their resources to build launchers. And because of that, they win the combats on the bottom side of the map. And now, once the Team Polar has been knocked out of the match, they're able to start capturing the islands and go for the win. And it looks like CN to win, disappointed after the recent defeat, is moving on. Now we have Scooty versus Moo. Both teams going towards the center, but Scooty just sent a lot more launches towards the center. Moo may be holding some of them back to defend, but and it looks like it's actually slightly successful, that their idea, because they're able to repel Scooty's remaining launches back. Moo does have 1 island, and because of that, they aren't going to be able to heal their launchers if they can manage to retreat when they're low on health. Scooty has a lot more, actually has less of everything right now. Moo, because of their islands, just more successful, and I believe they only need 1 more island. If they can just capture the top left island before Scooty does anything about it, they will win the game. But Scooty managing to retake that bottom left island, taking the top left island now. So we'll see if Scooty is able to do anything about it, but Scooty actually down to 46 amplifiers and 0 launchers. Maybe not the unit distribution he wants. Yeah, Scooty just making sure that the entire team knows that they lost. Now Scooty has like 50 more carriers than Moo does. Moo has an island, which worked out very well from them last time when they were able to defend, but this map is a lot more open. There's not a chokehold. And because of that, Scooty, with their focus on resource generation, has so many more launchers that are just able to completely push Moo back. And Scooty is going to tie it up. Scooty taking an early aggression in the center of the map, but it looks like their units are kind of scattered, not entirely sure where they're going. And they actually let some of Moo's launchers completely bypass them, get towards the center of the map. Moo once again taking islands super early on. Because this map only has 4 islands, they just need a 3rd island. And it looks like they have the means to possibly get a carry over there if they can get a group of launchers with it to defend it. Both teams fighting over the middle right now, but Scooty doesn't have any islands captured. If Moo takes advantage of these islands and uses it to heal their launchers during combat, they might be able to take control and reclaim it. But Scooty now has 2 of the islands on the left. Both teams fighting to take control, to push their robots over to the other side, reclaim the other team's island, and put their anchor down. But looks like neither team's going to be able to do it. Just a huge, massive carriers from both sides preventing anything from happening. And it looks like but Moo just managing to push a few more units over, reclaim that island, and put their own anchor down, takes the game. We'll see if Moo once again goes for an early island capturing strategy, but Scooty taking a very early aggression, sending their units directly down to attack on the right side and on the left side. It looks like Moo has already lost control of the bottom right head corner. We'll see if they also lose control of the top of the bottom left head corner. It looks like they do. Scooty is going to be able to tie this up as they capture a few more islands to close out this game. And we'll see how they do on Zig, not Zag. That might be another map.
No, it's just Zag.
Oh, for some reason we didn't make Zag. I will get on that. No spoilers. Both teams have a lot of carries, but Moo has actually taken control of the center of the map. The center of the map does have an extra mana vault, so if Moo manages to collect from that better, they will just have more launches available. One thing that's interesting to note is that I think Moo's launches just straight up ignore amplifiers. You see there's an amplifier on top of the bottom left head corner. from Scooty, just like absolutely surviving every attack. With Mew with their map control, just takes the islands in the center of the map and takes this game. Now we have Oranges versus Walt Whitman's Yelp. I don't know how to say that. I apologize. Yelp. Okay. Orange is taking the super early lead and pushing their robots through to the other side. They just quickly, like, I don't even have much to say about it. They just push their units through and quickly take control of 6 islands. They're going to look for a repeat on this map. This map only needs 3 islands to capture. So we'll see which team is able to do it. Oranges with a slight launcher lead, and they are sending their launches proactively to their side. It looks like Walt Whitman down to 2 launchers, maybe 5 launches right now. And because of Orange's proactiveness and pushing their launches to the other side, they're able to take control of the 3 islands. We'll see if they're going to repeat what they just did on Elephants on Pillars. If they can manage to once again push their launches to the other side and capture islands quickly, they're going to also take this game. But looks like a lot of their launchers are stuck on the top side of the map, like between 2 pillars, attacking clouds and walls for fun. And because of that, Walt Whitman's Yelp is they managed to send some launchers over to the other side of the map. Oranges manages to capture 2 islands. They're seeing the 3rd islands. Walt Whitman has yet to put any anchors down. Because of that, Oranges managing to quickly secure their 3rd island win. And they will be advancing. Now we have Trailblazers versus the Jigglypuff attack. Unfortunately, we do not have Jigglypuff in this edition of Battlecode. Jigglypuff might be copyrighted, actually. So we'll see if it's an effective strategy. It looks like despite this, Jigglypuff is actually doing successfully. They're taking control of the bottom left headquarters. We'll see if they actually send units to the top left and they take control of that headquarters too. Masterfully staying outside of the headquarters attack damage radius, but the Trailblazers does do their best at launching a comeback in the bottom left, spawning a massive launchers and a massive carriers, but they just quickly die. Jigglypuff does so many units, but no islands actually. Maybe islands that are under the units I can't see. I can't really tell. But even if they don't capture any islands, they just have a huge mana advantage, and they aren't going to win off of the mana type here. Unless Trailblazers manages to do something absolutely crazy, but it doesn't seem like it's happening. Trailblazers spawning units instantly getting killed by Jigglypuff. And it looks like this is going to be a 2,000 round tiebreaker going in the way of the Jigglypuff attack. As we move on to Elephants, maybe Elephants are natural predators of Jigglypuff, I'm not sure. But the Trailblazers taking early initiative, attacking the bottom right. Jigglypuff attack does have a few launchers on the left side of the map, hiding in clouds, maybe trying to tag any units from Trailblazers that goes forward. But in the meantime, they've left their headquarters undefended. The top right headquarters from the Jigglypuff attack completely under attack by launchers from Trailblazers. And because of that, they're able to start taking control of the bottom right headquarters too. They've seen one more island from the Trailblazers and they managed to find it. And the Trailblazers are going to tie it up 1-1. We've seen on this map that it's so important to capture these islands early on. It's so important to reach towards the middle. Jigglypuff attack manages to reach the middle first, but a lot of the units are stuck on the top side of the pillar. Not where you want to be. You want to be in the center of the pillar where the clouds are. I mean, the Trailblazers, they have a lot of launches moving together in a group. We'll see if because of their moving together, they're going to be able to win successfully. But it looks like Jigglypuff attack just has better launcher fighting slightly, but they're just not using it to their advantage because a lot of their launchers are getting stuck at the top. And meanwhile, the Trailblazers taking the opportunity to take control of 2 islands. They just need that 3rd island in the bottom left, bottom right, I guess. They do have slight control over it, and they do manage to bring 1 carrier over it, and that's all they need to close out this game. We'll see if the Trailblazers manages to get a 3rd win on spots and take the series. The Jigglypuff attack sending a few units over to the top right side of the map to attack, but the Trailblazers just has a lot more focus on attacking. The Jigglypuff attack trying to send some units diagonally across, some units vertically up on the left side, possibly trying to attack 1 specific headquarters down. We'll see if the other 2 headquarters from the Trailblazers are able to do anything about it. It looks like there's only 1 more headquarters. But the Jigglypuff attack has taken control of the top left side of the map, masterfully using those two headquarters to work together to take out one headquarter at a time. And because of that, despite getting a ton of their launchers stuck in one little spot, I guess, they do manage to take control of the top right headquarters from the Trailblazers. We'll see if they start going for islands. I think they might have one in the bottom left. They've seen a few more, but it is a bit difficult to pathfind on this map. It looks like this is going to be a 2,000 round tiebreaker. It is going to be tied up. We'll see which team takes out on Zig. A lot of patches for your units to get stuck in, but it looks like the Jigglypuff attack managing to attack on the right side of the map. Trailblazers attacking on the bottom right side of the map, but they're trying to attack over the wall, not really going directly inside the headquarter range. And the Jigglypuff attack, noticing an undefended headquarter, actually goes towards the bottom left. It looks like teams have swapped sides. Jigglypuff attack controlling the left side of the map, while the Trailblazers controlling the right side of the map. Both teams trying to get islands down. But it looks like the Trailblazers managing to put down a lot more islands. They just need one more island on the bottom right corner of the map if they can manage to bring one carrier down there. So far, it looks like they haven't. A lot of Jigglypuff attacks his launchers just stuck on the left side of the map. But in 2,000 rounds, the Trailblazers just has more islands placed down. And they do take the series 3-2. Congratulations for moving on. Wasn't it losers? Oh, okay. The previous one was not uploaded. Apologies for that. So now we have CN to win versus Mew to start us off. And our first map is going to be Crown Jewels. Both teams going towards the bottom of the crown. CN to win, seeing a lot more launches down there and actually winning the fights. And because of that, Mew is looking pretty shut out of this game. They have a few lonely launchers not really doing anything. One carrier stuck on the top of the crown, maybe thinking it's a king or something, but it's not being productive. It's being a deadweight to its team actually. And CN to win like actually has productive units. And oh, we're not full screening. One launcher from Mew just trying to do its best, trying to pick off any units it can, but CN to win just has so many launchers conglomerated around the bottom right side of the map, and Mew just not able to really spawn any units. We'll see if CN to win manages to start putting islands down. There is one right next to their own headquarters that's quick, very accessible, so they should be able to as long as they build any anchors. But it looks like so far they don't have. Okay, they finally do place an anchor down, and they get 2 islands and they win the game. And now we have extremely mid. Fun facts: extremely mid is related to massive L and absolute W. It's like the middle child of this two. They're all part of a series, but this one has been separated from his family at birth, and it's in a different tournament. CN to win actually attacking on the top right side of the map and the bottom left corner of the map, managing to attack both sides of the map simultaneously, and with just so much control over the map, they'll be able to quickly close out this game. Well, not quickly, because it looks like they're a bit slow at capturing islands, but they have captured 4 islands in the middle of the map. And they do capture 2 islands on the corners of the map to win this game. We'll see how they do on Fractured. This map only has 4 islands. CN to win seems to be a bit slow at capturing islands, focusing on getting map control first. Mew actually being the one to take early control of this map first, sending a lot more of the units on the top and bottom left sides of the map, and they quickly take control of 3 of the islands. Actually exploring, actually finding those islands, and quickly closing out that game. And now we have Swishy. We see a lot of CN to wins his launchers like kind of stuck on the wall, attacking over it for the clouds, but there's not really anything there. Mew's units also just wandering around the other side of the map. Neither team really is managing to find a way to the other side of the map. But CN to win has actually managed to bring a few carriers over, not launchers, but they managed to bring carriers with anchors over. They've noticed the resources as well. So we'll see if they start being able to capture any resources from it. But it looks like Mew, in the meantime, has also found their way over to the middle of the map. They've also started capturing their own islands. CN to win does have actually no island advantage because Mew actually focusing on taking control over those islands. CN2Win keeps trying to put islands down, but Mu quickly recapturing them. Mu has 4 islands. They need 2 more islands to win the game. But it looks like this is going to be a 2,000 round tiebreaker. Mu is going to tie it up. And we're going to see a game 5 between CN2Win and Mu. And now we have very reasonable. I have no clue what about this map is reasonable, but sure. CN2Win managing to find the way towards the center of the map. Mu has managed to find the way towards the center of the map, but on the top side, we'll see if they're able to take advantage of those clouds and sneak their way in because of that reduced vision radius. But CN2Win just has a few more carriers, and a claim that's as close as this one that might actually end up making a difference. Mu has captured an early island on the right side of the map, but if that's not under attack, that might not be the best use of resources right now. CN2Win not building any anchors right now, spending all of their resources on building carriers, on building launchers, has a slight launcher lead. And if they use that launcher lead to press their advantage, they might be able to take this game. Both teams still roughly even. CN2Win not really able to take advantage, but CN2Win just continuing to gain a launcher advantage. CN2Win has twice as many launchers as Mu does right now. But if Mu manages to successfully defend the middle side of the map, they will win off of the island tiebreaker. They do just have 1 island on the right side of the map. CN2Win yet to find any islands, yet to place anyone down. And as I say that, CN2Win puts an island down on the left side, on the bottom side. They need 1 more island. They have control of the top side of the map. They just need to bring 1 carrier of an anchor over to that side of the map to take control of this game. Mu just with not enough launchers, down by almost 50 launches at this point, just not able to push CN2Win back. And because of that, CN2Win just managed to slowly overrun and capture an island on top of Mu's headquarters to close out this game. CN2Win once again gonna move on 3-2. As I take a moment to catch my breath. Now we have Oranges versus WWP Trailblazers. It looks like a website, but it's only 2 W's. Orange is actually managing to immediately find the mana wells in the center of the map, while the Trailblazers struggling to do so. But if the Trailblazers manages to send 1 launcher over to kill off those defensive carriers, it might not matter if they haven't found the mana well yet. Oranges, and it looks like they have, but one of the launches just retreats. They finally go back in and attack, but it looks like Orange is going to be able to push it back if they just attack it with 1 launcher. That 1 launcher did so much work, but eventually the Trailblazers get so much work down, they finally find their own mana well. And we'll see if they manage to close out, to get any islands to close out the game. They do have map control right now. Both teams up to 1 islands, but with the Trailblazers having a lot more map control, they just need 1 more island in the bottom left corner of the map to win the game. They overrun control of Orange's island, and they take a bottom left island to close out the game. And now we have extremely mid. Orange is actually sending carriers completely to the opposite side of the map, like abandoning their own headquarters to help the bottom right headquarters. Not sure why, but they, in the meantime, they do launch a successful attack in the bottom left headquarters. But the WWP Trailblazers has a very strong defense and offense going on the right side of the map as someone's ringtone goes off. It looks like Orange is down to only a few launchers, while WWP Trailblazers has a huge number of launchers. They were able to reclaim control of the bottom left-hand corner. Now in a desperate attempt, Orange is trying to capture islands, trying to win the game off of islands if they can't win the game off of map control. But WWP Trailblazers not letting them do that, retaking the islands as soon as Orange captures them. And they have islands of their own on their corners of the map. They just need a few more islands to close out the game. I believe they need 2 islands to close out the game. Not finding they need 1 more islands. Orange is trying their best to put islands down on the bottom right side of the map, but the Trailblazers capture 6 islands and closes the game. We'll see which team manages to take it on Fractured. If the Trailblazers manages to get 3 islands down super quick, they will close this game out in a fast 3-0. But it looks like they do try to advance on the bottom right corner, bottom side of the top side of the map. Okay, that's confusing. But Orange is managing to defend decently well, not letting the Trailblazers completely overrun them. But it looks like as I say that, the Trailblazers completely decimates that head corner. The Trailblazers has 2 islands. Both teams have 2 islands, but Orange has lost control of the top right islands and the bottom left islands. But despite that, they lost map control, but they took control of the bottom right island and placed an anchor down to steal this game away from the Trailblazers. Orange is showing that they're not going to go down without a fight. The Trailblazers actually managing to immediately find one of those mid mana balls with a few carriers. And if Orange doesn't find it themselves, then the Trailblazers is just gonna have a huge mana advantage. They found extra wells that Orange hasn't. A lot of Orange's launchers are also stuck on one side of the wall, while the Trailblazers, they're sending carriers over to the other side. They're capturing islands. They see 2 more islands. Finally, the Orange manages to find their way towards the center of the map, manages to retake control of a few of the islands. We'll see if the Trailblazers manages to start sending launchers over to defend their carriers. But right now, it looks like Orange might be having a comeback. They might be taking this game back. If they can put down 2 islands and control them, the Trailblazers advancing. They have 4 islands, they have 3 islands, but it looks like Orange is not letting Trailblazers do anything. But in the end, 2 dozen rounds, the Trailblazers, they've placed down a lot more anchors throughout the game, and they're going to win off of that tiebreaker. And the Trailblazers will be winning and moving on for 1. Now, I hope we see Dage again. Dage is my favorite team. Let's go, Dage.
What makes them your favorite?
They're my favorite team solely because they won the mystery tournament. Yeah, Walmart was not a great map. Yeah, I apologize. I had a better map idea. I'm just saying. Okay, finally we start the match. Dage advancing towards the center of the map, instantly attacking, but Mogus does have a solid defense, able to repel the attack. Dage sending reinforcements, but they don't know that the advanced attack was already dead by that point. Slowly sending in launches one at a time to reinforce their supposed attack, but now they're just getting picked off one at a time. Mogus still has a solid defense. However, Dage does have more carriers right now. Mogus down to 0, launches down to 0 of anything. It looks like Dage, even though it looks like their attacks were kind of failing, their continuous sending of reinforcements manages to slowly whittle away at Mogus, possibly because of their increased resource gain. And it looks like Dage is going to take this game. They do have complete map control. We'll see if they start capturing islands. 2 of them are... The islands are pretty accessible on the map, and they do take the bottom left islands, they do take the bottom islands, and they finally take a 3rd island. We'll see how to deal on moon phases. It's super important on this map to get early control of the middle, and that's what Dage is doing. It looks like their launchers go diagonally across the map, possibly assuming rotational symmetry. It looks like that's what's going on, because they're going towards the opposite corner of the map. And on this map, it's actually a safe guess, because there is a head corner on the opposite corner of the map. Dage immediately sending launches over to the enemy head corner. Because of that, they are going to decimate Mogus. Once again, Dage with super early on map control. And later on, they're going to start taking islands. We'll see if this becomes a full blood moon. It seems a bit slow on taking islands. I don't know if I even see any anchors yet. But Mogus just has no way into this game. Dage once again building elixir. Maybe they're just waiting to show off their elixir before they capture any islands. An interesting strategy, but we'll see how it does on pipes and parabolas. Dage's not getting stuck at all. Whether that's because they don't place anything that's not directly adjacent to the headquarters or because they notice a jail, I'm not sure. But Dage showing that their resilience to difficult map making conditions like jails is what made them win the mystery tournament last week. And Dage taking control of the top right hand corner. Mogus does have a huge defense on the bottom left side of the map. but that's almost entirely carries because of the low launcher population. It might not be enough to defend, but looks like they do have enough launches to do something about it. Amogus almost had a counterattack on the top right side of the map, but a lot of their units did actually get stuck in jail, which is very unfortunate for them. And Dage now still has control of the map once again getting Elixir, making sure to win us on as many tiebreakers as they can, and they do take 75% of the islands. Dage showing us why they're our favorite to win this tournament. Now we have Orioles versus Super Red Battle Clowns. Once again on Fish Cake. I don't know. I was gonna make a joke, but then I realized I don't know what a boiler is. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I shouldn't speak. Oilers is getting stuck on the left side of the map a bit on the wall. The Battle Clown's getting a bit stuck too, but they're able to send a few launchers over to the center of the map. Finally, the Orioles managed to send a few units over, but they get instantly killed. We'll see if getting their units stuck comes back to bite them, but both teams do have a strong defense, able to kill anything that goes to their side of the map. The Battle Clowns have taken control of the top right islands. They do need just one more island, and Orioles is to take the offensive and capture one more island. It looks like the Battle Clowns will be able to take this game. They have seen the top island. They do have an amplifier to communicate it. They just need to get one carrier with an anchor over to that side of the map and capture it. But it looks like they're unable to do so. One of their carriers seeing a lonely launcher attacking them and retreating because of that. If Orioles manages to keep sending launchers over, they'll keep scaring the Battle Clowns' carriers away. And because of that, they might be able to hold on to this game. But Orioles is still reluctant to capture islands themselves. And because of that, the Battle Clown's still so close to victory, just needing one more island, and they finally do manage to push one carrier over and do it. We'll see how to do on moon phases. Both teams actually avoiding the center of the map, attacking on the top and bottom sides of the map. So neither team really taking control of the center. Orioles actually seeming to take the better of the trades on the top and bottom side of the map, and now they're attacking the Battle Clowns on their own side of the map. They've completely decimated their carriers, so they're completely defenseless. It looks like Orioles is going to take this game. Once they have map control, they do take the islands, and they're going to tie it up 1-1. Now we have Pipes and Travelers, both teams getting a couple units stuck, but Orioles once again taking early aggression towards the center of the map, and now towards the top right head corner. The Battle Clown's able to hold on slightly, but it's just not enough. And it looks like that one is going to get overrun. The defense is more successful on the bottom left corner of the map. Orioles manages to launch an offensive over there, but is quickly repelled by the Battle Clowns. But if they only control one corner of the map, that does give Orioles sufficient map control to capture enough islands to win this game. It looks like they finally do manage to overcome the Battle Clowns' defense. Looks like they are going to take an only 2-1 lead on this map. As we watch them search for islands, they found 3, they found enough, and we're going to be moving on. Now we have Reverse Funnel. This map is a bit more difficult to get map control of the center. With only a 2-tile wide passageway, Battle Clown sending a lot of their launches over to the right side of the map. I'm not sure if they assumed vertical symmetry, if they just passed away from currents. I'm not sure which one it was. But Battle Clown's actually finding the currents in the center of the wells in the center of the map. If they can manage to get those resources back to their own headquarters, they aren't going to have a resource advantage. But those carriers are trying to go back to their headquarters through the currents on the left side of the map. That's a one-way, basically a one-way current. And the Orioles is able to just keep killing those carriers one by one as they try and go back to their headquarters, using those launchers over the wall. The Battle Clown still retains control of the right side of the map. And so despite Orioles managing to shut down some of the Battle Clown's economy in the center of the map, it looks like if they don't start pushing their lead, if they don't start advancing, the Battle Clowns is going to take this map. They have one island. They need 2 more islands. I see 2 carriers with anchors on the top side of the map. They need 1 more island, and they do manage to find it. Orioles just not advancing, not pushing any leads. And the Battle Clowns are going to tie it up 2-2. And now we see on this map, the currents actually all point towards the inside of the spider web, trapping you inside. So it's going to be very important to take control of the center and to not let the other team completely overrun the center with launches. Looks like the Battlecode does seem to have control of a lot of the center right now. Order's Roller is having a lot of units like wandering around, exploring the top side of the map. But it looks like it's not enough as the Battleclouds. They are the spider on this map. They are the ones controlling the web, killing anything that's unsuspectingly enters. And the Battleclouds aren't going to take enough islands and win this series 3-2. A close series, but the Battleclouds showing that clowns are not to be messed with. This is no joke. Yeah, where's Andy? I agree. Okay, as we release the results, I'm going to move on to Round 5, Losers Minor. We're going to see Amogus versus CN to win. Two strong teams that unfortunately got knocked out pretty recently. We'll see how they fare on a starting map Elephant. We've seen on this map how important it is launching an early attack, how important it is to really take control of 3 of those islands, and because this map really lets you get quick victories. CN to win taking a much earlier offensive, getting some of their launches over to the opposite side of the map. They have a huge massive launches on the left side of the map that are just attacking clouds, not really being very effective right now. Amogus might be able to defend because a lot of CN to win's launchers just not being useful. Although CN to win has a huge launcher advantage, but Amogus has been steadily able to close the gap. For some reason, CN to win is not building as many launchers. They do have a slight launcher lead right now of about 12. And it looks like they're kind of stopping Amogus from gathering mana. A lot of their launchers attacking that mana well on the underside of the elephant, stopping any carriers from really gathering that many resources. And in the meantime, CN to win has captured 2 islands. They need 1 more island. They do have slight control of that center of the map where the 3rd island is a need to win the game, but Amogus does have a very real possibility of coming back from this, of taking control of the map. If CN to win stops, and looks like Amogus does take control of one of the top islands that CN to win had, they launch an attack on the left side of the map. Amogus is taking control of their own islands, and Amogus with a huge comeback, actually taking this game with 3 islands. Now, looking at Glass, CN to win instantly sending launches over through the middle of the map towards the enemy team. And looks like they have a big, massive launchers that is just able to quickly push back Amogus. And if this keeps up, CN to win might actually be able to push back and take control of the top right side of the map. But looks like they overextended, and Amogus just has more launchers right now. They have more launchers attacking the center of the map. Amogus has a 50 launcher lead right now. Unclear how many of those are just stuck in the bottom side of the map. But looks like Amogus does have the capabilities, the fighting power to push through the middle of the map and possibly take control of the top left side of the map. CN to win just does not have that many units. They have a ton of launchers, but they're all stuck in the bottom side of the map. And a lot of the units on the top left side of the map are almost all carriers. So if Amogus can just manage to bring a concentrated effort of launches over, they might just be able to completely wipe it out. And as I say that, that's what happens. CN to win loses control of the top left-hand corner, managing to spawn a few more units as the launchers attacking it leave. But it looks like they're going to be able to do anything. And Amogus might be able to send a carryover with an anchor and capture the island directly on top of CN to win's headquarters. CN to win just stuck under the table, hiding, cowering in fear as Amogus takes control of the map and takes the game. Now we have pillars. Both teams not really advancing towards the center instantly. CN to win taking an early aggression, but it looks like they're kind of overextending. And once again, we see CN to win's launchers kind of pathing towards the top side of the map. Not really where you want to be on this side of the map. Only really attacking the wall and a few of the nearby clouds. Looks like CN to win just still pushing more units through. They do have a slight launcher advantage, but they actually lost their advantage. They sent too many launches down towards the middle of the map to just die by themselves. Because of that, Amogus is steadily building a launcher advantage. They have almost twice as many launches as CN to win right now. But CN to win has started placing islands. CN to win has realized that they just need one more island to win this game. And it would not be that difficult to send a carrier with an anchor over to just place an anchor down and secure the lead for themselves. If Amogus wants to prevent themselves from losing this game early on, they need to place an anchor down. They need to cash it at bottom. They need to prevent a sneak victory from CN to win. But CN to win with one carrier successfully making it over and placing the anchor down does take the game. CN to win, not letting themselves get knocked out. They're not trying to lose the losers bracket yet. Amogus, a lot of their units kind of seeming to be lost and wandering around. CN to win seeming to have a more concentrated effort with their units having a better idea of where they're going and how to attack Amogus. But Amogus does have a lot of launches there that are concentrated and pretty good at defending. We even see some of their launches going over into the right side of the map, possibly to help the defense on the right side of the map. We'll see if CN to win manages to defend the top left, manages to take control of the top left, but it looks like CN to win is just steadily sending launches over, and they're just losing a lot of units. It looks like they might be pushing Amogus back though, and CN to win uses their map control, pushing Amogus down constantly to capture enough islands to win this game. So now we're going to game 5 with Amogus versus CN to win. Neither team making it towards the center of the map. CN to win actually starting to send some launches down on the left side of the map, trying to attack Amogus. But it looks like once again it's powered by Amogus. It looks like Amogus seems to have very successful defense on these maps. But CN to win just constantly sending launches over has been able to take control of the map and sneak away island wins, while Amogus is concentrating on defending and not pushing their lead. It looks like this game might be different as Amogus has actually been the team to take control of the center. And it looks like Amogus does have a launcher advantage, a slight carrier disadvantage, but they're practically even. And it looks like CN to win. If they don't get a huge research advantage sometime soon, they might just lose this game if they let Amogus maintain control of the center, where there's extra mana wells for them to collect. And there's steady access to the items that they need to capture at the end of the game. It looks like CN to win has just lost control of their top left headquarter. They still have one Valiant headquarter remaining, but Amogus notices it and is unwilling to let it slide by, sending a wave of launches over to capture it, and now capturing islands. Amogus is going to take the game 3-2. A very close series from both games, going back and forth, capturing islands under each other's noses, but Amogus does take it. And now we have Orioles Warriors versus WWP Trailblazers. On to Elephants. This is an elephant of a map. Okay. WWP Trailblazers sending units over to the right side of the map, seeming to be a lot more successful in attacking. Orioles Warriors just have a lot of launches on the left side of the map. We'll see if they're able to completely repel, take care of the defenses, but they're not defenseless. The Trailblazers just have launchers next to their own carriers able to defend. Looks like they do have just more carriers right now collecting resources. Orioles Warriors almost exclusively focusing on mana, and because of that, they actually do have a huge launcher advantage that they're able to use to completely push back the Trailblazers. And all that remains for Orioles Warriors is to take control of the islands, and as I say that, they do take game 1. We'll see how they manage to fare on Looking Glass. Both teams going towards the center of the map, but in opposite directions. Orioles Warriors trying to go through the top side of the map, while WWP Trailblazers passing through the bottom side of the map. But the bottom side of the map does go in range of the launchers under the table. And because of that, Orioles Warriors steadily gathering a huge mass of launchers in the top middle side of the map. If those launchers can get out of the middle, they may be able to completely decimate the Trailblazers. But in the meantime, the Trailblazers just has so many launchers in the bottom middle of the map, steadily pouring through. And it looks like the defenses that Orioles Warriors has in the top middle of the map just might not be enough. as WWE Trailblazers just keep setting launches over and over and over, and it looks like it's just never ending from them. Both teams have a huge number of launches, but WWE Trailblazers has almost a 50 launcher lead right now, whittling away at Oilers Warriors. But Oilers Warriors, realizing that as the game closed out and teams had equal islands, they stopped building launchers, and they take a mana tiebreaker win. Oilers Warriors with a quick 3-2 lead. We'll see if they're able to make a 3-0. The Trailblazers actually being the only ones to send launchers towards the center of the map, but overextending a bit as they go towards the range of Oilers Warriors launchers themselves and get killed. The Trailblazers do have some amplifiers going completely on opposite side of the map. Trailblazers has complete information of what's going on that side of the map. They have complete knowledge of map symmetry. They have complete knowledge of the island locations, and because of that, they quickly take 3 islands. Trailblazers is gonna make it 2-1, still behind, but not letting themselves get knocked out yet. Both teams launching an attack, sending units directly downwards from Oilers Warriors and diagonally up from the Trailblazers. It looks like Oilers Warriors were actually the one taking the victory from those combats. Both teams trying to do early combats, but Oilers Warriors just being a lot more successful in actually taking this game. And because of that, they're going to take a 4-1 victory on this series. And now, I believe we have round 5 losers major, if I understand how this tournament goes at all, which I hope I do. And we're gonna see our favorite teams, Oilers Warriors versus Amogus. Oh, the winners are, yeah. The winner is probably not, well, possibly our next finalist, but not yet. Yes, they're one step closer to becoming one of our finalists. Yeah. Each of these teams needs to win 2 more, but whichever team loses this one is going to be knocked out of the tournament and lose their chance of seeing me in person. But they will be 4th place and earn a cash prize. So congratulations to both of these teams. They've already secured themselves the bag, partially. Oilers Warriors launching an early offensive on the top left side of the map. Amogus managing to defend, setting some of their launches from the bottom left-hand corner up to the top right left-hand corner. And because of that, with the united effort from both hand corners able to push back Oilers Warriors, both teams fighting over control of the middle, neither team using islands to their advantage for healing though. We'll see if either team manages to place any islands that might make the difference and start turning the tide for them. But in the meantime, Amogus does have a 30 launcher advantage. Because of this launcher advantage, they might be able to just push back Oilers Warriors and completely take control of the middle of the map. But it looks like Oilers Warriors start sending a lot of units, starts taking control of the top left side of the map. Once again, Amogus' bottom left-hand corner sends reinforcements, helps out the top left-hand corners, and pushes Oilers Warriors back. Looks like the top left-hand corner might be slightly weak, but Amogus has started taking opportunities, start capturing islands of Dome. Both teams capturing islands, but Amogus with the control of the middle takes the game. Now we have Crown Jewels. We've seen how important finding this mana well early on is, and Oilers Warriors is the one to find that mana well early on. But a lot of their launchers going in the bottom side of the map and getting killed by Amogus' launchers. Amogus with a huge carrier lead, they're going to be able to balloon their resource advantage. They have 1,000 mana advantage, and they're going to be able to build so many more launchers, so many more anchors, so many more carriers. If Oilers doesn't do anything about it, but they only have 3 launches left, 2 launches left. There's just not much they can really do about it. All they can really hope to do is place 1 island down, but they don't even get that. Amogus is not letting Oilers get any chance in this game. They start capturing islands of their own. They have the top, bottom right-hand islands, the bottom left island. They need just 1 more island in the middle of the crown to cement the loyalty for themselves. But not enough, and they take it from the shots and route tiebreaker. Both teams trying to advance towards the center of the map, but Orioles Warriors seems to be try taking advantage of it, but Amoga is able to push them back. Both teams still in close contention for control of the middle of the map, however. But Mogus just has so many more launchers right now. Once again, Orioles Warriors down in launchers, possibly because of their econ. Mogus with about twice as many, almost 3 times as many now. Carriers as Orioles Warriors just getting so many more resources per turn. And because of that, they have so many more robots that are able to compound their advantage and take control of the middle of the map. We'll see if they start pushing through to the corners of the map. So far they're not, but looks like they're starting to advance a bit on the top left corner of the map. Orioles Warriors down to really the bottom right control corner of the map, but it's just not enough. Amogus takes the entire map. Amogus is gonna go on a close series, a closer series than it looked, but Amogus is gonna go on 3-2. And Orioles Warriors secures 4th place for themselves. Congratulations. As we reopen the window. Windows are difficult sometimes. That's why I use Mac.
Now Andy is attempting to print the bracket.
Yeah, okay, for some reason we're printing the bracket. As we're teaching Control Shift T.
Exactly. No, it was a command control.
Okay, I think we're almost pulling it up. The tournament's pulled up. We're just waiting to share the screen now, I believe. And as it is getting shared, we will be getting back into this. I believe we have 2 more series left. We have round 6 winners. Whichever team wins this is going to be our first finalist. We're going to see at the final tournament. The first team that's going to be able to see me in person and get my autograph. If they pay. If they pay. I hope they don't have my autograph ready. That would be kind of interesting. But we have Dage versus Super Wet Battle Clowns. Starting off on Fish Cake. For some reason, we always start off on this map first, never at the end. It's a bit of lag right now, but looks like Super Wet Battle Clowns, they do build an early amplifier, but it's not really doing much. Now it's in the center of the map. Battle Clowns now has knowledge of every island on the map. They do only needs to capture 3 islands of the map. So we'll see if they use their map knowledge to quickly take control of 3 of the islands. So far, but Dage is the one taking the offensive, but it looks like they're sending too many launchers in, 1 at a time to die. Dage down to 5 launchers, while Battlecons up to 11, 12 launchers. Battlecons with twice as many launchers is able to keep pushing Dage back. We'll see if Battlecon starts taking the initiative and starts pushing towards the middle of their launcher advantage and trying to go for islands. They certainly have the launcher numbers to do so. Dage does have more carriers right now, and they might be able to collect more resources per turn if Battlecon starts slacking though, and investing on their launch advantage. Battlecons is taking 1 island in the top right corner of the map. We'll see if they start pushing through towards the middle. They've already taken 1 in the bottom left. They just need 1 more in the middle of the map. But Dage sending so many units on the top side of the map, not letting Battlecons advance, not letting Battlecons place the final anchor they need. Battlecons has a few carriers with anchors attempting to make their way up there, but Dage just has so many launchers that they keep streaming in constantly, launcher after launcher, just protecting that 1 island and stopping any advances from Battlecons. Dage not letting Battlecons get an easy victory, but finally, Dage relaxes their launcher assault, and Battlecons manages to get 1 carry over and take the first game. Now we have Fractured. Dage manages to do some early exploration, and the carriers are kind of mixing at the same wells on all sides of the map, you see, which is kind of interesting. Dage actually sending some launchers through the pipes, I guess, on the right side of the map. There's so many launchers on the bottom side of the map, but because of that, they've kind of neglected the top middle side of the map. We'll see if the Battlecons is able to take advantage of that and take control of the top middle. But in the meantime, Dage sending units to the bottom side of the map through that tunnel is able to take control of the bottom side of the map. They already have 1 island, they have 2 islands. They just need the bottom right island, and they already have control of that side of the map. But meanwhile, Battle Clowns, with their control of the top side of the map, reclaims control of those islands. Both teams tied 2-2 islands, but something we've seen time and time again. Daves, towards the end of the map, they get elixir. We'll see if those destabilizers end up making a difference. We saw in Looking Glass one time that those destabilizers managed to completely wipe out the enemy team's defenses. But these destabilizers are on the wrong side of the map. If these destabilizers don't make it up, they won't be able to push the Battle Clowns out. Both teams tied 2-2, but Dage managed to have more elixir, managed to place more anchors down throughout the game, going to win off of tiebreakers. And we are going to be tied 1-1, going into pipes and parabolas. Dage showing their mystery tournament powers, their ability to compete even on the toughest and meanest maps, not getting trapped on jail. While Super Red Battle Clowns has so many carriers just stuck in jail on the left side of the map, only launchers are outside, and Dage managed to take advantage of that, takes control of both headquarters from Super Red Battle Clowns. Dage is going to be able to take some islands, possibly after waiting for elixir. There's an elixir, there's the stabilizers we've come to get used to. And now Dage is going to take an early 2-1 victory. Dage just needs one more game. If they can take this game on Spider Web, they will be our first finalists. Both teams so close. Dage being the one to take control of the center map. Dage being the one to attack the enemy team's headquarters on the top left side of the map and the bottom left side of the map. Battle Clowns down to 4 launchers, not really doing anything on top right side of the map, and they were found out by Dage. Dage with such a huge map control advantage is starting to turn the Spider Web red. Dage just not really losing anything. They lose one game to Battle Clowns, but Dage with a dominant performance is going to take the series 4-1. And Dage will be one of our top 2 finalists flying into MIT for our final tournament. Congratulations, Dage. And now we have our final match we're going to show, Super Red Battle Clowns. A strong performance, but not able to overcome the monster that is Dage. We'll see if Battle Clowns manages to secure the last finalist spot. As we open up the last rounds, round 6 losers major, but they have a tough opponent to go up against. Super Red Battle Clowns is going to be going up against Amogus. We'll see. Okay, I'm not gonna make Among Us jokes. I can't. We'll see which team takes it. Yeah, this is the last game. Both teams hungry for that last finalist spot. Whichever team loses, eliminated, needing to wait until next year to have a chance at meeting me. But Super Red Battle Clan is taking early at aggression with sending some launches over to the enemy team's mana well. They found the mana well for themselves. If Amogus doesn't find the mana well, they're going to be at a severe mana disadvantage. Just going to have so many less launchers. But we don't see the effects of that right now. Amogus actually with a launcher lead right now. It looks like Super Red Battle Clown's kind of struggling a bit to get those carriers from the mana well back to their headquarters in a timely fashion. It looks like Amogus, both teams roughly equal, but finding the Battle Clowns with their launcher advantage coming in, their use of mana and actually finding the mana well showing now as they have twice as many launches able to push back Amogus. They started taking one island. We'll see if they manage to bring any islands anchors down towards the central map. They have 2 islands. They completely decimated Amogus. One lonely amplifier in the bottom of the map, not able to do anything. A Super Red Battle Clowns takes their 3rd island and takes the game and leads the series 1-0. The Battle Clowns hungry after their last defeat, and this is a killer. Okay, this is a killer clown, guys. Amogus has this very strong defense actually. Amogus with leading and launches right now. If Super Red Battle Clowns keep sending launches in one at a time instead of being concentrated, then Amogus just might be able to push back and start launching a counterattack of themselves to take this game. Super Red Battle Clowns down to 12 launches while Amogus has 36. Amogus with 3 times as many launches. If they can just get their launches outside of their corner of the map, they will be able to take this game. But Super Red Battle Clowns has 2 islands. You just need a 3rd one. if Amogus doesn't leave their corner of the map now, if they don't take advantage of their launcher lead to get map control for themselves, Super Red Battlecons will be able to just take this game out from under them. Super Red Battlecons trying to send carriers with anchors down, but Amogus quickly shooting down anything that approaches nearby. And Amogus manages to retake control of one of the islands in the center of the map. Amogus now with the map control of the center. Amogus now with 2 islands captured, and Amogus capturing the 3rd island to win this game. We can be tied up 1-1. Both teams doing so well. Both teams being evenly matched. I want to see which one takes the lead on Looking Glass. Oh, as it is very delayed, and I guess I'm going to be looking up for. Okay, well, this is going to be a bit difficult, but Super Red Battlecons being the one to advance in the center of the map. Amogus sending a few launches over and actually managing to succeed in pushing them back. Both teams sending so many launches towards the center of the map, pushing each other back, but Amogus seems to be the more successful one. And looks like Battlecons actually managing to capture a few more resources from the adamantium wall in the center of the map. Amogus with launchers in the center of the map, but not really pushing the advantage, not really sending launchers over across the border towards the other side. Finally sending launches over, but it's not enough, and it's able to be repelled pretty easily by the Battlecons. And my neck hurts so much. But both teams actually not even on islands. Amogus has not captured some of the islands close to their own headquarters. If they don't take the next few rounds to do that, then the Battlecons actually will be able to win off the island tiebreaker. And actually cannot tell looking straight up if they've captured that top right island or not. But I think they might have. I hope so. Both teams still even in the map. But Amogus with a huge mana advantage, almost 3,000 mana. And because of that, they are going to take this game. Wait, is this even delayed? Why was it? I'm looking up. Okay, I think this is fine. I think I can just look at the Zoom screen. But if we notice it's super delayed again, I'll look back up. Both teams not really able to find their way towards the center of the map. Whichever team finds their way towards the center of the map is going to be able to find those mana wells, is going to be able to take early control of the islands. And it is going to be so vital for them. Super Red Battlecons managing to send a few units over. They finally managed to capture some of the mana wells, some of the adamantium wells, and they've managed to bring amplifiers over to communicate those island locations to the rest of their team. They're starting to steadily stream robots over to the center of the map. They've already captured 1 island. We'll see if they use their resources that manage to keep pushing a lead and keep pushing Amogus back. Well, Amogus themselves have started to push their way through towards the middle of the map. Perhaps not intentionally, but pushing each other out of the way because of so many robots on that swoosh. But still, they're starting to fight over in the middle. Amogus actually seeming to have an advantage. They have a 30 launcher advantage, almost twice as many launch carriers too. Looks like they have complete control of the center of the map now. And now they're the ones starting to put islands down. They've taken control of one of the islands on the top right. They've taken control for all 4 of the islands on the right side of the map. The Super Red Battlecon is trying to take control of the 2 of the islands on the left side of the map. But it looks like in the end, 2,000 round reaches and Amogus takes it. And Amogus wins the series for 1. And Amogus will be our final finalist coming to MIT for the final tournament. Congratulations to the Super Red Battlecons. You had a valiant performance, but you guys got 3rd place. And you get $300 in cash prize. That comes out of my pocket. You should be happy.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, it doesn't. I'm sorry. Thank you guys for watching. And tune in on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern for our final tournament. 6:45 p.m. Eastern for our final tournament, where you get to see all of your favorite teams. We have Dage, we have Amogus, we have the Grandiloquent Grinders, we have Middens, Meteor. We'll see how many of these I can name. Don't at me. What is Burnout? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Gone fishing, apostrophe. 4 Musketeers. Dumb Collectors.
We're not killing the stream until you
Okay, I've been told.
You know how much family costs a lot more than you think. Also, why are we not?
I've been told I cannot end the stream until I name everyone. So Give me a second, guys. Do I have all the international teams? I have Meteor, Dumb Collectors, Kryptonite. Wow, they're just getting answers to me now.
It's like a couple dollars or something.
Okay,